And we're live, episode 59 of Game Slayer. We're gonna have a fantastic show for you today, and we have a great guest to top it off. So let's start with our guest, returning guest, non fact. Daily man, how are you? What you been playing?
I've been doing well. Let's see what I've been playing. I have been recently gifted the Callisto Protocol, so I played a little bit of that. My younger sister bought me Persona 5 Royal for the PlayStation 5, so I'm running through that again as well too. And then I was gifted a signed copy of Gran Turismo 7 from a very good friend of mine. So I'm gonna be playing that here shortly. But other than that, I've just been playing a lot of Call of Duty, a lot of Warzone 2, DMZ to be specific. That's kind of my bread and butter multiplayer game at the moment.
Gotcha. Give me a second, I'm tweeting it out.
But other than that, thanks for having me back on. I appreciate it. Hello, everybody. My name is Deli,
You're
formerly top developer. Now I'm here to hang out and talk about video games, which is something that we all love.
you're always more than welcome to join in. Um, And now to the crew. Viper, how are you, man? What you been playing?
Hey, taking the time to come out, slither out of my corner, and join this wonderful panel of people. What's up, Deli, Chad, and the panel? Um, so I recently I just finished platinuming Valkyrie Lenneth. Um, that was,
Nice.
yeah, and
Madre tech. Cause
that one's
that one.
special. That one's special to me because it's not normal.
Yeah.
You. I thought most games I can get about 80% of the trophies, and then I have to look up the other 20. No, not with this one. I had to look up at least half, 50% of the trophies.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't normal. I enjoyed it thoroughly, though. I love the whole aspect of sending some of your characters out to be Ein, whatever, I can't pronounce it, Ein Harriers or whatever it's called.
And hey,
Uh,
yars. Yeah.
yeah, I enjoyed that aspect of it. But I was disappointed because when I got them at the very end of the game, they were the same level and they didn't get any new skills. It's just the way I sent them out. And I was like, what was the point in sending these people out? I thought it was going to be like stupid for me.
Yeah. I have yet to go there. Cause you know me. I thought that was gonna be the case. Cause when you look it up, they always tell you make sure that they are well equipped with the
Yeah.
best equipment you can find. Cause they're gonna be to that level.
Well,
But are they not helpful then?
no, because they're like level 15 and level 9, whereas everybody else you've had are like level 30, level 35.
So then what's the... So then I'm absolutely with you with the point, because last time I checked, it's not easy to level up.
No, it isn't. You're correct.
It,
But if you use the orb that they give you for the party, what I normally do is when I get a new person in the party, I take that orb of experience and I catch them up using that orb, and then I throw the new person in my party to go to the next dungeon.
what I did is I gave them the CP and the HP, so they
Oh,
can
that
get
too.
double
That
of
too.
everything
Yep.
before I level them up. And real talk, I am yet at chapter 6, I think. I have yet to use, or 5, I forgot. I have yet to use any of my orb XP.
Oh
Cause
wow.
I am leveling up on my own. Cause
But,
real
but, but,
talk,
but
you can get away with it. Yes,
yes,
that the game have time limit, but if you play with it, you can absolutely power level your characters.
there's no point in holding on to that. By the end of the game, you'll have well over 10 million. So you
Okay,
go ahead and use them. There's plenty of them.
good to know.
4 million. I have 4 million or something at the end of the game that I'm not using, and everybody's level 50 almost. So
Oh, okay. Maybe that's how they want you to level them up. But okay. I get you.
so
What
yeah,
other are you playing?
yeah, right. I'm playing. And normally in between a 60 or 70 hour game, I play like little ones. So I'm playing Bend the Light right now, which is a little
Oh yeah,
it's a puzzle game where you gotta get light through some tight spots and bounce off mirrors.
It's
Other than that, I'm Diablo 3 with social again, and I booted up Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order just to get the 50 coins from the PlayStation Stars joint.
real talk. I might actually do that because I read how you got 16,000 points or something like that. I'm
Oh
like,
yeah,
how the hell you got all that? But okay, fine. Because real talk, I hate it when they did it with mobile phones. How if you log in every single day you get stuff. Like I'm like, no, I wanna do stuff on my own time. But if it's just a matter of loading it up, doing some one mission or something with Jedi File Order, I'm willing to take that whatchamacallit, damage just to get the 50 points. Because I want the
well,
points.
I plan on playing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Me too.
Unfortunately, it's like number 60 on my list, so I probably won't get to it till next year. But
Yeah, by the time you do, two will be already out.
right.
Um,
But that's it. That's all the games I've been a part of so far.
got you, got you, got you. Weeb, man, how are you? What you been playing?
I'm good. Shout out to the panel and welcome back, Deli. We maybe going to talk about your anime taste, but otherwise you're welcome.
Yeah, One Piece hater are normally not welcome here, but for this one he is welcome.
We're making an exception.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah, what I've been playing. I finished Sunset Overdrive shortly after our last podcast. Did the main story and the DLC. I was tempted to maybe go back and get all the collectibles, but considering that they're pretty hard to find and the maps cost a lot of money that I didn't really have at the time because I spent it all on weapons, I kind of decided to call quits because, well, I mean, it was on Steam, so and I don't really collect Steam achievements. I'm a trophy whore. I'm sorry.
We're gonna talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And other than that, I've played a bit of Crisis Core, but yeah, the game isn't compelling enough for me to keep on playing it for long. And this week One Piece Odyssey came out, and I've been playing it ever since. And I'm not sure if you got around to it, but yeah, I think as a fan you're gonna enjoy it. It's a treat. And I really like the turn-based combat that they should have done a long time ago. Because it's way more fun than just the string of action RPG games.
I played the demo, so I'm gonna cover it a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Did you start the game yet?
Yeah.
How far are you?
I'm back in Alabasta.
Ooh, okay. So, a few questions about that. First of all, they use the whole trope of going from level 40 all the way to level 1. How do you feel about that? Because I have seen conflicted opinion about it. Some find it irritating, some find it fitting. What's your thought?
At the very least, I appreciate that they found a narrative reason why your characters start out at level 1, right? Why they're weaker than they should be, and I suppose the drop in levels is sort of to illustrate, yeah, these characters are actually really powerful, but something happens, that's why they're weak now. So it's not that we suddenly throw in enemies that somehow are capable of defeating characters that are way too powerful at this point in the story for them to be beaten. And of course they can throw in enemies that drawn from other One Piece stories, right? There's a narrative, and I haven't played a demo. I only played a bit of it on a gaming convention, which convinced me to get it and didn't really need a demo. So I don't know how far it goes in the story, but
so it goes until you are done with the very first cave you enter, where you get your power back.
Oh, okay. So yeah, okay.
By the way,
The only
play the
yeah.
demo because it gives you reward, I think, for the actual game. So do so.
Yeah, okay. I don't know because I'm already further into the game than the demo. Um, but the only thing I'd say um, what could have been done better is the pacing because you get your moves back like regularly, but generally based on story progression. So if you want to wander off and grind for some enemies, then that generally yeah can get a bit boring because you have like at least initially like only two or three or sometimes one character has like one special move that they can use. So that's kind of thing where I wish they had thought about it a bit better. But other than that, I mean it's fine. Yeah, again, progression is especially initially they sort of have a lot of hand holding where you can't really veer off the path that they want you to go, even though you can actually move to different areas. At least you can see them. Um, so that always irks me a bit when a game doesn't let you do stuff that
Hmm.
you should be able to do. But other than that, it's fun. I mean, and yeah, if you're a fan, it's a solid game regardless. But if you're a fan, you're gonna get a lot of extra stuff out of it. Of course, these characters. You're getting a lot of fun banter between them that you will recognize from the anime.
It feels
Um,
authentic, eh?
Exactly, and and also like the way they've uh, you revisit certain areas from past arcs, but it's explained within the story, and they deviate from what you've seen before. And it's kind of interesting also to see them comment on these events, like in hindsight, like okay, they know what happened and what's or what should happen next. Like I posted like one screenshot that's really kind of very. I mean, if you've seen the anime or read the manga, you know what I'm talking about. You're meeting a certain character that you can no longer meet in the anime or the manga, and sort of that does something to you because you've had that moment, and it's kind of interesting to see the character's reaction on that. But I don't
Yeah.
want to
Uh,
elaborate on that.
yeah. For
Yeah.
example, Marineford. Uh, how that arc is going to be in the game. I can't wait. Um, for me, what hits home is apparently every single enemy is designed by Oda himself, and you can actually see with some things. Um, um, like for example, that fire enemy, almost like a fire pillar that you first encounter. It kinda look like oven from Hawkeye Island in a way. So
It is though kind of easy to say that because there was a lot of enemies that are actually from the Strong World movie. So yeah, those were designed by Oda, but
yeah,
they really
I'm
existed.
super excited. Before I go to myself, we actually have a new panel member that can come in when he want. I just gave you the what you call it, the role to be able to join in to We Life on your own, Jumaya. How are you, man? What you been playing?
All right, thank you. I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
We're fine. What are you playing?
Like I said, I've been playing Midnight Suns. Uh, also, I like to jump back on WW2K22 every once in a while.
Oh, okay.
Uh, Looking forward to Hogwarts coming out next month. It's gonna be crazy. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. Are you excited for the AEW game?
I haven't seen it yet. Does it look good?
Um, Visually, no, but it's more focused on gameplay. Like they're going the 90 with it. 90 style. You know how the old WWE games used to look and play?
Yeah.
That style going in. Look it up. Maybe it's something up your right up your alley.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out.
A Midnight Sun is a massive game, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
an extensive game. I mean, I like it a lot. I mean, I like the combat a lot.
Mhm.
The card
Okay.
system is sometimes weird sometimes, but it's I mean it's hit or miss.
I wanted. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, so Spider-Man was going to be my main. But this guy is mostly a stunner and defensive and whatchamacallit character. He is not really a damage dealer, sadly. I'm looking forward to Midnight Sun when I get back to it. As for me, I'm playing a game called .hack GU. It's a, okay, so this is a second installment of a franchise called Hack. It started with Infection and it got almost close to 9 games on the PlayStation 2 alone. This installment I'm playing is actually on the PlayStation 3 and it's remastered for PlayStation 4. It's so originally this game was supposed to be 3 games, but with the remaster, and that's what I love, they actually added in a 4th game. Not big, not as big, but still big enough for me to enjoy. I am right now on my second level, a second game I meant, and part of the reason it took me so long because I needed to do a lot of kind of like farming, but you're not actually fighting enemies, you're just logging in and out to check in with shops if they have the item that you want to be able to get a trophy for it. So that was annoying. Um, I as a huge fan of the genre, which I don't know what you call it, online multiplayer offline game. Basically, you're in a game, in an MMO open world game, but you're playing offline. I think there's a demo for it. I'm not sure, but otherwise, I do highly recommend you to pick it up. It's very fascinating. It got a fascinating story,
I remember for
especially.
that game, I when it first came out, like I think it was PS2 maybe. I think.
So the first installment is PlayStation 2. This one installment is PlayStation 3. I'm playing it on PlayStation 4.
So you're playing dot hack GU last rebirth.
Yeah, GU.
It has
I'm playing GU right now. Yeah.
okay. So it has rebirth, reminisce, redemption,
Yeah,
and
precisely.
that's it.
I am at Remnants.
All right, got it.
I genuinely recommend it. It got a great character building. It's great, fantastic story. Fantastic story. It
Yes,
keeps
very
you.
much.
It it keeps you to the edge of the seat the entire time. Like I am at second game and I still have no idea what's going on. Who- Character motives, who knows who is the quote unquote evil person, all that jazz. Like none of it is explained, but in a good way. And it actually got good voice acting, and you can choose between Japanese and English dub. Um, Other than that, it's combat heavy focused, and you can play it your style. You can be melee. You can choose most of the time which character you want to take with you on a party. You gotta select 2 members to come with you, or you can do it solo if you want to in some areas. But yeah, I'm talking about it a lot because I want to sell people on it, because I want Bandai Namco to make a new one, make a new installment.
I don't know if they would. Yeah, it's kind of
They seem to have moved on from this.
right. Exactly.
I
So
wish.
have you rode the bike yet?
Yeah, the bike you ride it in the first one
Ha-
already.
ha- have you done any of the races?
Yeah. I upgraded my motor. I was going at what call it, number 10. I'm now number 4 in some
N-
races.
Nice. Yeah. Wait until you get to the best stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah, then I'm gonna be able to, one shot, not one shot it, but still, you need to make sure that it's balanced and stuff like that. But
Yep.
again, there is not enough hours in this podcast alone to explain to you just how jack bombful this game is. Like, this game is massive. The first game alone took me over 50 hours. Mind you, I played it 2 years ago. I finished the first one again, but because I missed out on one important thing, which is the double ganger. If you don't fight them in the first game, you
Yeah.
might as well not fight them at all. I already moved to the second game. I have played it through the third game, I remember, but I forgot the story. But yeah, I recommend anyone to play it. And if you want something close to it, the closest thing I can see would be Crosscode, a game also I used to play that I need to pick up back. But yeah, enough about that. But I think, oh yeah, the other game I was playing is called Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, and Delhi, you're gonna hate me for this one. I don't know what your opinion about Kakarot, but it starts off great, but it becomes such a tedious game to play because no matter whose character you pick, they all do the exact same moves. There is no difference between choosing a Vegeta or a Goku.
I think that's a pretty standard Dragon Ball thing, honestly.
I
I feel
mean,
like the games have been like
they
that since like I don't know Budokai.
they found they found a way to give people Kaioken that shouldn't be able to do Kaioken. They give them
Oh,
the
that sounds crazy. I don't know. I haven't actually played the game myself. I've seen
I
some
have
clips on the new
when
performance update, so I am interested in it.
yeah what I do recommend you to pick up the PlayStation 5 version because one, the loading time is extremely shortened. It went from 10-15 seconds to just 5 seconds. It might seem to be not much, 15 to 10, trust me, when you need to go from area to area to collect the Dragon Ball. It becomes tedious every single time you need to wait 15 seconds or 10 seconds to go to an area, to be there for just a minute or a half, only to log back out. Another baffling decision would be to have Nimbus, the flying cloud, to be so slow. I'm like, why would I ever use you when my flying by myself is way faster? That's disappointing. What I do give them credit for is they have shit ton of DLC for it. They have 3 massive DLC, one for a Trunk story, one for Frieza story and Beer story, and the other one is for Super Torment of Power and all that jazz.
Oh, that's fire. I love that.
Yeah, so, and also they introduced new gameplay element, which is basically raid. You're gonna look it up for yourself. And now, with the PlayStation 5 upgrade, that's free by the way, they also introduced a new short story, which is the Bardock story.
Oh, it's sweet. One of my favorite characters. I love it.
I-
You convinced me. I guess I have to buy it now.
I am. I wish I'd spoken with you earlier because I bought it for $20, €20, and it was the big edition, which it came with all 3 DLCs. The Bardock one is on its own. You need to buy it for €20, I think. So, but yeah, up to you, Daddy, if you pick it up. Me myself, if you're a huge Dragon Ball fan, I recommend it. Otherwise, play the demo. There is a demo,
Okay.
and then you can choose for yourself. But yeah, enough about that. We're missing a few people, but hey, we're gonna manage. Let's start with the first topic. Ubisoft might be for. Could Ubisoft be for sale? Um, Information news came out that Ubisoft scrapped not one, not two, but three games, and three big games. And the question that remains is that of so here, Ubisoft has cancelled three unannounced games and delayed Skull and Bones yet again. The company says it's facing major challenges as the industry continues to shift toward mega brands. Um, I okay, so according to the news on Wednesday, the company says it's facing major challenges as the industry continues to shift toward mega brands and long-lasting titles that can reach players across the globe, across platforms and business models. No, Ubisoft, that's a wrong way of thinking. That's actually bad because I don't want my Assassin's Creed game to look and play like a Ghost Recon or a Far Cry game or a Splinter Cell. So he said, Ubisoft said it has spent the last 4 years attempting to adapt its biggest brand, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Ghost Recon, Rainbow Six, and Division to these converging trends. However, the games from this investment phase have yet to be released, while our recent launches have not performed as well expected. First of all, let's talk Valhalla, shall we? I am playing Valhalla what? I was playing Valhalla. Viper, do you know when Valhalla was first released? Oh, he is off.
Yeah, I believe when I got my PS5, I bought Valhalla alongside it, so it was a launch
Yeah. First of all, top game in despair. Second, so what? 2 years, 3 years into the next console generation, around such that, and I am
one and a half. I think.
okay. 1.5. Okay.
Valhalla came out November 2020.
Okay.
So just before 2021.
Okay. Thank you. So around 1.5 years, and yet I still got almost close to game breaking bug and glitch. That's no.
Wait, it's 2023.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That's 2.5.
Dude, oh, 2.5. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, when I was playing it, it was last year, end November, December, September, something like that. So, what we rounded at 2 years, or 1.5 years. Matter of fact, it's longer than 1 year. And I'm still experiencing bugs and glitches that were out since day one. That shouldn't be a thing. And one of the reasons that's a thing, I believe, is because the game is way too freaking big. Which it shouldn't be. The game is... Anyone beside me, anyone here played Valhalla?
I have not because
Yeah,
I'm gonna be
played it.
honest. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like these large AC games aren't for me anymore. Go ahead, Dark Minds. Sorry if I cut you off.
Oh no, that's cool. I was gonna say I played it, but when it first came out, it was so buggy that I just ended up putting it down. I just couldn't take the freaking bugs and the crashes and whatnot. So, but I think I like the game though. So maybe one day I'll get back into it.
Yeah. So,
I
Valhalla... Go
I
ahead.
started the game for about 8 hours, and saw that only 0.4% of the map was done. I was like, oh shit, I'm putting this
Yeah,
up.
Valhalla have. When I say shit ton, I can. I truly believe you can make an entire new game out of the DLC alone that they have released for this game. I'm not making this up. They have shit ton of DLCs. And all of them are new story content. I'm like, instead of doing story content, why don't you focus on your own game? Fix it. Fix the bugs. Fix the glitches. Do you see what my issue is with Ubisoft? I even put aside my issue with them shifting the Assassin's Creed from that what it used to be to what it now is. That's a whole different conversation. Another what the hell moment for me would be who here is a fan of Beyond Good and Evil?
Me? I am.
Yeah. Raise your head, raise it proud. All the others, I'm disappointed in you guys. You missed out on one of the best games during the PlayStation 2 era.
I just never got around to it. I'm not sure why not. You know, like
It's unique.
the PS2 had so many goddamn
Yeah,
games, so,
it had.
it was
But this one is a hidden gem. Like, even till today, yes, the combat doesn't hold up that much anymore, because, you know, where we are at right now. However, if you were to pick it up right now, it got some amazing story. It got a great character. It got fantastic humor. It got unique gameplay mechanic where you actually needed to use your camera. They actually found a way to make cameras important in this game. Um, Delhi, have you seen the quote-unquote leaked gameplay that was for the Beyond Good and Evil 2 project that got cancelled?
Don't believe so. Not at all. As far as I'm aware, the game's still on development.
No. I'm not talking about the ones that they're making. The one that I'm talking about showed an older Jade running and fighting, almost like Assassin's Creed-esque style. She was running.
I don't think I've seen it.
She was running. She was doing parkour. When I saw that demo, I got so excited. And then we got the reveal for the actual part 2. Am I the only one that's lost, Delhi? Apparently this is a prequel?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that any amount of Beyond Good and Evil is good enough for me. I don't have a personal opinion on whether or not we like a sequel or a prequel. It's just been gone so long that I would prefer anything over nothing at this point. Which is starting to feel like it's getting pretty close to nothing. You know, it's been quite quite some time since we've last heard or seen anything from Beyond Good and Evil 2.
As a developer yourself, is it fair to assume that this one is in developmental hell?
I'm not entirely sure. I think the game, the way that they're making it, it's going to be an absolutely massive game. So I don't, with a lot of different mechanics that that Ubisoft is known for in their previous games, like, you know, vehicle riding, flying, parkour, you know, platforming. There's definitely a lot of things that Ubisoft has been good at over the last couple decades. So I think this is going to be like the ultimate amalgamation of like everything that they're good at. So I think they do want to take their time. You know, nobody wants to screw up a game of this scale. Yeah. So I don't. Do I think it's in development hell? No. I think that just I think that there's a restructuring at Ubisoft over the last couple of years, and it's slowly happening, and it probably will happen for another year or so. And I think they're just reapproaching what they're doing with games. So they're not going to be too quick to greenlight big, massive sequels, right? So as far as we know, like Division 3 and everything is still on track and still in development.
Wait, Division 3 is in the making?
We haven't heard anything from those games, but like that's what I'm saying. Like, as far as we know, that they're still on track, but they're not revealing as much as they used to over the last decade, right? Because like originally, like the Division 1 was revealed several years beforehand, and then it ended up getting delayed, and then downgraded, and then we ended up getting what we were getting. Same thing with Watch Dogs. I think that their movement into this decade is a lot different. So that's probably why we haven't seen much from Beyond Good and Evil 2. Because if it's not worth showing off, well, why show it off, right?
It's Ubisoft, believe it or not, they have a few big titles in the making. They have Beyond Good and Evil 2. No matter how you slice it or dice it, this is a big IP. It's an IP that people are excited for. There is the Avatar game that I am not an Avatar connoisseur. I've never watched a single anime cartoon episode of it, so I have no clue about it. But what I do know that they making an Avatar game that first person, which boggled my mind. When I see Avatar, I think third person action adventure, action slash, but apparently they go in the first person route with it. Hearing now that Division 3 is in development, it's going to be interesting if they have learned from the massive oversight that was Division 2, because when Division 1 first came out, it didn't have enough content. When Division 2 came out, 1 had so much content, but Division 2 came out bare boned. So, the least that they could have done is port the Division 1 content, extra content, place it, make it part of Division 2 story, something like that. So at least people will have something extra to play, besides beating the main story and call it a day, which what I did. And I played it before the quote-unquote DLC that was released. So they have that. What else they have? They have Splinter Cell, which...
Yeah, they have the Splinter Cell remake, and then they have a big Star Wars game coming out.
So, oh wait, they're making a Star Wars game? That's first time I'm hearing.
They are making an open world Star Wars game in the vein of like something like Starfield or like Mass Effect, where you can travel to different planets and stuff. So.
The game I'm looking most forward from them, Beyond Good and Evil. I am very skeptical of Beyond Good and Evil 2 because the genre they went with, which is online multiplayer, which boggled my mind with this one. But I am excited for Immortal Phoenix Rising 2. I played the first one, it got fantastic humor, it got some amazing gameplay elements to play with. You could break a level easily with the powers that they give you. Like you're supposed to go from point A to point B. You can literally skip point A and B all the way to C, because with the abilities they give you. I am not sure if that was an oversight of them or developers didn't care if you do the puzzle or not. Cause I was surprised how easy you could break that game. So yeah. Also remember, Ubisoft is still facing with this whole sexual allegation. That's also affecting them. And apparently they said that Watch Dogs Legion didn't perform well. which with the choice that they made with Legion, I played the trial version and it came out to me like quantity over quality. They give you all the people that you can play with, but you don't care about them. If they die, you're gonna recruit someone else with same character design. They have zero personality. You can unlock the quote-unquote side stories and do them, but it didn't feel to me compelling enough to focus on them. I'm gonna start with you, Jemaya. What's your thoughts on Ubisoft, and do you see them going for sale anytime soon?
Well, didn't a while back something happened with the family that actually owns it, and they're trying to sell it back then, I think. If anybody knows that story. So
Oh yeah, they were looking for investors. They found a
okay, yeah.
private investor.
Oh yeah,
It's a family-owned company. You'd have to buy out all the shares that the Guillemets have. So not only do you have to buy out Eve's share, but you have to buy out his brothers and his sisters and his mother's. So there's just a lot going on. That's also another thing that it kind of is hard to buy the company, because you have to basically set the family up and say, like, we have to buy out everything that you have, and then that'd be that.
So yeah,
if I remember correctly, that was with whatchamacallit, Tencent, I think, bought some of the shares. Either Tencent or I think Tencent, right, Derry?
Yeah, I think so. Tencent and a couple other people as
Yeah.
well. I don't think that they announced what the other people were.
So, what you thought, Julia?
Yeah, so I think that eventually, like, if they can't produce any steady flow of games, they're gonna have to sell it to somebody. Maybe like Embracer or Tencent, or like maybe Microsoft fails Activision and they buy Ubisoft instead. Uh, so I definitely think it's a matter of time with them.
Shout out to Derry for actually telling me something that I had no idea about. Apparently, Ubisoft is twice as big as Activision Blizzard, if not bigger. So I don't think if they can't buy Activision Blizzard, I don't see them ever being able to buy Ubisoft.
Hold on. In terms of market cap, because I believe
I
they're.
think he means like
Just employee base.
Oh no, I'm talking about employment.
Yeah,
Amount of
just employee
employees.
base.
Yeah.
Because they have over like 22,000 employees, or 21 confirmed thousand employees, but that was like last year's number, or 2021's numbers. So within the last 2 years, I'm sure that they're hiring some more. But they did announce that there would be cutting jobs and canceling games and stuff. So that could eventually go down. But that's still 20. Let's just say 20,000 employees. It's a fair number, right? That's a lot of employees.
Yeah. So yeah. Going to you back.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Didn't about 4 months ago? Didn't they just have like a showcase, like where they showed off like Assassin's Creeds, or like three of them, three new ones, and the sort like Mirage and all of that.
Yeah. They showed off I think a mobile game, a multiplayer game, and then a standard single player game.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Viper.
What it seems to me like is they have certain divisions or teams that are doing really well, and they have certain that are doing not so good. I would think, and you just said, Deli, that they plan on releasing some people, but I would think that they would probably try to do what that other place did, and that's Square. You know how Square shut it off its Western divisions.
Yeah.
But they didn't think they were doing that well for them. I would think, and instead of canceling the games, they could have, which probably would have canceled the games anyway. They should have just shut it off the portions that weren't doing very well. I know it's harsh and it's people's jobs, but I mean, or sell them off to somebody else.
Okay, so talking about going back to what you were saying, Viper. Apparently, there's a new rumor that apparently Assassin's Creed Red, that is in development, is struggling.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't hear about that one, but I know because Red is the only one that I don't have saved as a not pre-order, as a wish list on the PlayStation 5. So I can see how that is. But the other ones, Mirage and the other one, I have them wish listed already.
Recent rumors indicate Red is struggling, while Hexe is about ready for the next stage.
Okay.
I remember watching a leaked gameplay of Assassin's Creed, either Red or I forgot which one.
Mirage. I think it's Mirage.
It not only didn't look good, it could have easily been an Assassin's Creed Valhalla DLC. I am very doubtful about Assassin's Creed. The only one I'm interested in is the one that plays in Iraq. That Mirage, I think. That going the basic route, which is focusing on stealth and stuff like that. Red is apparently in either Japan or China. There is one in Japan, there is one in China, which seems to be a multiplayer game. I'm very doubtful, but I understand what you said, Viper, and I would not be surprised if they start doing that. Weeb, what you thought?
Wait, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mirage is the one that's going to be in Iraq, and you just said that did not look good.
Sorry?
Mirage is the Assassin's Creed that's going to be in Iraq, and you just said that did not look good.
No. The one that we saw gameplay of was not Mirage. It was some Chinese, either in China or Japan. Gameplay wise.
That wasn't Red?
No, Mirage you don't play the way that they were playing and the way the character model. The character models were clearly Asian.
I meant the one for China. Was that the one that got the Assassin's Creed Red?
Red is the Japanese one, I think.
I'm getting these things mixed up, yo.
Yeah. And give me a second. So Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed Red, okay, so here, several Assassin's Creed games in development. Assassin's Creed Mirage, the open world game set in Japan, Assassin's Creed Red. The potential set in Germany. Okay, so Hexe might be in Germany. That's new for me. The mobile title is Assassin's Creed Jade.
Okay.
Okay. Then the game that we saw gameplay of would be Jade. Because I remember it didn't look like Japan, it looked Chinese.
That sounds like China, yeah.
Yeah. And that shit didn't look good whatsoever. It genuinely looked like a copy paste of Valhalla with some extra stuff. At least with with Mirage, they're doing something not new, but they're reviving something, which is the stealth element.
But which one was the mobile game?
Jade is the Chinese one.
And you expected that to look how? Mobile game?
Okay, fair point. It's not about the look. It looked good. It's about the gameplay. It plays the same as Valhalla. So yeah, Viper, Weeb, what you thought?
Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna be bought out because they have fought takeover attempts before, so I don't see that happening um, easily. But to be honest, I haven't cared for Ubisoft for a long while, so for their games, so I'm not particularly don't particularly feel any either way, about the future of their titles. I kind of felt like they were like Far Cry was kind of stuck since 3 in what they envisioned for the series, and Assassin's Creed I kind of gave up on that after I think it was Unity. So yeah, I mean, I'm personally not that invested in it. So, well, what happens, right?
Gotcha. Delhi?
No, I don't think they're gonna get bought out anytime soon. I think that they will restructure and continue to push out games. I mean, they definitely have a lot of IPs that sell well. Just to correct you earlier, all right, you said that Watch Dogs Legion didn't sell well. I just want to let you know, as a member, as a developer on that game, however you may feel about it, that's perfectly fine. That's your opinion, right? But we sold 3.5 million copies in 3 days, over 8 platforms. So I don't think that is a franchise that's going away anytime soon. I think that's a very lucrative franchise for Ubisoft, and I may be biased, but the sales numbers are there to support that.
No, if I'm
I,
wrong, I'm wrong. Well,
So,
I'm looking
so
it
yeah.
up
I
right
actually
now.
prefer Watch Dogs over Assassin's Creed. So
Um,
I knew it, but I let Omar talk anyway.
But it did sell well, and there is what's it called? There is a demand for those kinds of games still. That Ubisoft is making, those open world, exciting new um, games with different kind of gameplay elements and different mechanics as well too. So, and Ubisoft has a host of um, what's it called? A host of IPs like that. I mean, look at Splinter Cell, look at The Division. Um, Obviously, we have Beyond Good and Evil too, right? But Ghost Recon, that's a franchise that's been through almost every iteration of a video game, genre possible. And then you have, of course, Assassin's Creed, which is like there's an infinite amount of possibilities with Assassin's Creed. I mean, there are card games, there's crossovers with other video games, there's mobile games. Yeah, it's just there's a lot that can be done with those 3 franchises. Same thing with The Division. Now that we're moved into the second one, they're making a free-to-play one here shortly called Heartland. And so, yeah, there's definitely a lot of genres that they could explore and a lot of gameplay models that they could explore with those franchises. And those are just only 3 or 4 of the franchises that Ubisoft owns. Let's not talk about, Rabbids and a bunch of other things as well, too. Rayman. So, yeah, there's a lot.
Gotcha. By the way, just an update. I was not trying to undermine Legion. For some reason, I truly saw somewhere that it underperformed. So thank you for correcting me.
It probably underperformed in scores. I mean, to me that
You
doesn't
mean meta? Because I don't care
yeah, like
about meta.
Metacritic and stuff like that. I don't think that bothered me too much. I mean,
No.
on opening, I read all the reviews and stuff, and it is what it is. But yeah, there's still a passionate fan base for it, and then the sales reflected something entirely different. So yeah, I was happy to be part of it, and that's what I'm gonna say about that.
Yeah, got you. Like now, the game, gameplay to gameplay moment, it's great. Story is even interesting. What I didn't gel with was the main characters being, almost like a quantity over quality. But that's just me.
There was just something different that we wanted to go with. I think that what's it called? Developing it in tandem with Watch Dogs 2. So we developed it like side by side. I'm not gonna say in tandem. I think that was the wrong word. We developed it like pretty close to when Watch Dogs 2 was being developed, and when they went to what's it called? San Francisco, we decided to take it somewhere else. take it a little bit more personal, take it a little bit more real world, and then that's where we ended up with here, especially with Brexit happening at the time. It definitely had a political edge to it, and I think that I was happy that we ran with it. There's a lot of good industry stuff that's crammed inside that game that nobody talks about, like the fact that we put ray tracing on a Series S, one of the first games to ever do that. The fact that we have like 7 or 8 voice actors being able to voice act like hundreds of people because of like an awesome audio generation technique that we had, which is also an industry first. Yeah, so there's just a bunch of stuff in there that's actually
Go ahead,
awesome.
continue. What else?
We were also nominated for innovation in accessibility. We lost in the Game Awards to The Last of Us 2, rightfully so. But we were right there with them. So yeah, we definitely were on the forefront of a lot of different things. So I feel very proud of myself and the team, and of course everybody as well that worked on it and contributed to it. So yeah,
as it should. The story is great. It got a great, interesting story that touches on real life aspects. I agree, and the gameplay is genuinely fun. It's just for me, I didn't gel with the characters, but I do recommend it. Other than that, would be, let's move on from this topic. Let's talk about Callisto Protocol. Apparently, it's underperformed. Which, okay,
Are you sure this time?
Sorry?
Are you sure this time?
Yeah, I'm sure this time because I have an article with me. Good one. I am okay. Okay. So, okay. I'm not trying to tiptoe, but I need to explain something. I am sick and tired of games coming unfinished and broken and a mess. So, if a game underperforms, it's going to be because of that. But because basically they saying Callisto Protocol was expected to sell 5 million copies, but will likely only hit 2 million this year. Publisher Crafton says the game underperformed at retail. Analysts lower sales target for Callisto Protocol. Industry Watcher attributed the title current sales to game length and the developer focused on production values. After the title performance, analysts have lowered sales target for Crafton Protocol. As reported by the Yonhap news agency, the adjustment came a month after the title launch. The company, so all of this is just from the company focus, not of our opinion. The company expected cumulative sales of 5 million copies, but considering the current sales ranking, sales are hitting around 2 million copies. Will not be easy until this year. Okay, so, and this is which year is this? So this is, so we're talking they sold what, 1 million only last year then. If they're talking about hitting 2 million this year. Okay, no, I'm now assuming stuff. I'm gonna take that back. They said in part Odyssey notes that the industry watcher attributes the game reception to its development focus. The problem is that Crafton spent a significant amount of money on the production of the protocol. The analyst also cited the survival horror title reviews on Metacritic as a matter of concern. A new content for Callisto Protocol in 2023 was announced, including paid DLC stories content planned for summer. Nate, you here?
Yeah, I'm in the car, but I can hear you.
Can you talk? Or are you busy?
Yeah. No,
okay.
Go for it.
So, then I'm gonna talk to you, because we played it. We both got the platinum in it. Are you surprised?
No, not really. I mean, I've always told people, I mean, for one thing, um, the survival horror genre typically performs numbers wise underneath the majority of the rest of the genres. And then a lot of people were paying attention to people like us that were playing it, um, early on to see what we thought and to see if they wanted to pick it up. So, I mean, we ran into our fair share of issues. We figured out some stuff as far as the dodging mechanics and so on and so forth. But, even with that, we still acknowledged a bunch of technical design flaws in it where, they hadn't really considered every given situation they put you in, um, and things like that. And then, of course, some of the complaints that we had really early on, which we thought were very obvious, him taking too long to heal, uh, the extremely long switching weapon time, which they changed. Um, so I mean, I think a lot of people saw that and just kind of waved it off and thought, hey, why not pick it up? Maybe 29.99 or something later, and just kind of go from there. So no, I mean, I'm not surprised at all. I felt like they sold. I felt like they had a good launch. Like I felt like a lot of people were excited and they did pretty good. I mean, I saw a ton of people, playing it at the same time we were, but then, once everybody kind of really got a hold of it and, the issues came about. And I know right now, I know Prince specifically uh, was complaining about something being literally broken. He can't even progress. So, like, that's crazy. I'm glad we didn't run into that, but yeah, that's a prime example of stuff still being an issue. Um, so yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all. I still think they'll get quite a bit more lifetime, but I'm surprised they didn't break at least like 2.5 being on PC, PlayStation, um, and Xbox. Like that's kind of crazy, but
Um,
they also had a decent amount of
if
competition too. So
ye, if you remember though, with Xbox it was missing ray tracing. Not sure if they have it now. With PC, it launched abysmal to the point where you needed to drop.
well,
Uh,
to be fair, they fixed that in like a day though. The stutter issue was fixed like
I
literally in a day.
I
Uh,
feel you, but first impression is everything.
I mean, I'm not gonna say no. I mean, it sucks to launch stuff on PC and run into that. But I'm always fair when it comes to PC due to given randomized configurations, because like I said, I've playing on PC for over 20 years. I've seen where like one specific configuration in a PC happens to be the one that stutters or it has bad pacing or something due to like a specific CPU when it's paired with a specific AMD card. Like it gets really weird on PC. So I wasn't surprised by the micro stutter. Micro stutter is like a major issue on a lot of PC games. um so yeah, you just never know. But yeah, them selling that low is kind of crazy, which now makes me interested to see what. I mean, I know a lot of people are fans of Dead Space, like I was, but now I'm interested to see what the launch of Dead Space is actually going to do, because Dead Space, although it is beloved, it is launching into heavy release window category. So I'm interested to see how much people really love it, as opposed to just being excited about it and then not actually getting it.
That
So yeah,
that's
that's going to
going
be
to
interesting.
be that's going to be a totally different ball game, especially with they're gonna be fighting nostalgia, and apparently they added new content. So maybe that way they're gonna win over fans. Final thing with you, us both are playing it. Is it fair to say that it feels like they focused on graphics and then gameplay was an afterthought?
mean, the graphics were on point, so I mean, I can't really argue with that because to me, it just felt really odd that they couldn't tell some of that really, really basic stuff that we said. You know, like we all played it the same night and immediately said, you know, one or two things that needed to change. So I was like, how could you go through all that testing and all that stuff? Or allegedly, I'm guessing, I hope they tested it, but and not realize that those things were an issue, or the multi encounters where your character literally flips out because he can't deal with it, because the animations and the way that the character dodge mechanic is built isn't built for those encounters. Um, so yeah, I mean, this definitely seems to be a heavy focus on graphical fidelity, which I'm not mad at. I mean, I'm a graphics horse, so I can't be mad at that. It was beautiful in 60 FPS, so I love that. But yeah, they definitely seem like they should have paid attention to, I guess, some of the more nuanced gameplay mechanics in the game, and just really paid attention there. That is a place where, again, I think in particular, PlayStation first party studio shines, because I like never run into that issue with them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, that's how I feel about it. 5 million was a stretch, though. I don't know what they were thinking. That was
Mm-hmm.
crazy.
Yeah, I don't think 5 million. No, I'm gonna interrupt. I don't think 5 million is a stretch. I think that the amount of hype and build up for that game, I don't think 5 million was a stretch at all.
I agree with you, Delhi, because before release they were putting it on par with the Dead Space remake, like to such degree. Because remember, this is from the same developer or actually same creator of Dead Space. I don't know which one it is.
The
but
original Dead Space sold like 2 million or 2 million copies, and you're telling me that a game with the what's it called, the fan base, 15 years later, that's like, I don't know what the global audience was back in 2008 versus
Mhm.
2022, but let's just say 10 times, right? Um, you're telling me that you're selling the same amount of copies with the amount of critical acclaim, with the amount of hype, with the amounts of marketing, which, mind you, their marketing was very so much like, this is from Dead Space, this is Dead Space
Yeah.
related, this is blah blah blah, this and that. Like, if they didn't, sure, but they really relied on that, and
Yeah.
marketing, and they didn't skimp out on marketing at all either as well.
Yeah,
So,
they were also on big screens. Like they were on PlayStation events. They were on I think Game of the Year award. If I remember correctly, it was shown there.
Yeah, they did a massive ton of marketing. I just honestly think it proves my point that without the name attached to it, like Resident Evil, like that's one of the few survival horror games that even sells the way that it does.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and like they were impressed by 5 million sales. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so, and that's Resident Evil, basically the most famous, survival horror game that we have today.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I always tell people, that's why I said with Silent Hill, I don't think Silent Hill is going to do good at all.
no,
Like, everybody was
I think Silent Hill's gonna
yeah.
sell 1.5 million copies, and then that'll be it.
Do you
Yeah,
think? Okay, okay. Then, do you think Silent Hill Faye might do better? Cause that's at least a new IP.
Yeah, but you gotta understand that Dead Space and Silent Hill are also two definitely very different kind of horror games, right?
Mhm.
Dead Space is more like something like The Evil Within, right? Which is more like an action-oriented horror game,
Mhm.
like a very atmospheric game. So those tend to sell a little bit better. Same thing with like Resident Evil, right? Those tend to sell a little bit better because they kind of break up the monotony or they break up the scares with action, so it's kind of relatable to the majority of masses. Whereas Silent Hill is just straight, like, that game is classic Japanese horror. It's got puzzles, it's frustrating, it's annoying. None of the doors work, and there's just a lot going on. So that's like a more traditional horror game in that vein. So those sales are going to be a lot different than sales like for Resident Evil. So which is why I'm not going to compare the two, but if I'm specifically speaking Callisto Protocol, I would say that comparing it to Dead Space, comparing it to like Evil Within, comparing it to Resident Evil, I think those are fair comparisons because they're definitely still good. And then the Evil Within sold, I think, about 1.2 million. Or sorry, the first one opening week sold 800,000 copies, right? And that came out like 4 or 5 years ago. So within 4 or 5 years, as the audience is obviously the internet is clamoring for more horror experiences, and then of course with the Dead Space name attached to it, you know, I expected them to beat at least 800,000 copies for their competitive or their competitor competing franchise. And they did. 2 million copies is a lot of copies. Don't get me wrong. That's not a slouch of a game, right? And the game's only been out a couple months. Like it's not.
It's not.
Like,
it
not
didn't.
like it's been long.
It didn't hit 2 million though. They expected to hit it this year.
Oh, it hasn't hit 2 million yet.
No.
So then it is definitely. Yeah, like I said, it's definitely underselling.
Yeah, beyond underselling.
I feel like it's underperforming quite.
Yeah. I wanna go to you, Delhi, next, but I'm gonna make my point, and then I'm gonna use your expertise to explain something. First of all, this is from my experience, and mind you, I'm putting bugs and glitches aside. That's a whole different topic. When, and this is by designer choice what I'm talking about. When you kill an enemy, and then it saves, and the loot drops on the ground, and you, for any reason whatsoever, you die between that checkpoint and the next checkpoint, the enemy that you killed, that loot, that drop, that you need to rely on in order to survive, that's gone. You can't get it anymore.
Yeah, the checkpoints in Callisto Protocol are pretty aggressive. I'm not a huge fan.
When you are fighting a boss fight and your entire game have been melee focused, and with this boss fight they force you to go with weapons, or else you stand, not only you stand there a chance you can't kill him because he literally one shot you. There is absolutely no question about it. He one-shot you. And if you, and you're luck-based, if you are, because you're in a close area, you just had a difficult fight that you need to fight, and then you fight a boss fight. If you run out of ammo, and the loot chest doesn't have ammo, you basically soft lock. Either soft lock, or you might genuinely need to start all over again. The game all over again, because you haven't upgraded your weapons because you focus on melee. 2, you don't have ammo. You don't have any way of getting ammo besides buying them, which they are expensive. There is not, I don't think you have enough. If you focused on upgrading a lot of your stuff, you're not gonna be left with enough ammo to buy ammo. The reason why I'm telling you all of this is because if I played the game the way developers wanted me to play it, I would have absolutely soft locked myself through for a lot of areas, specifically the boss fight, where Nate's girlfriend literally was almost screwed by having the game saved, and she already opened all the loot chests, and she already used up most of her ammo, and she beat it with an inch of her life. And I was there to watch it when it happened, not once but twice. So Deli, before I go to you, I have a question for you. And again, Innate mentioned it, the slow healing. Like, how can this? I'm gonna go to you, Deli, then, as a developer. I'm gonna almost like roleplay with you right now, gaming wise. You are a developer. You're working on this game. I'm a playtester. I see this issue. I see the issue with healing. I see the issue switching between melee and combat, and melee and whatchamacallit, guns take a lot of time, especially when you're fighting enemies. I see the issue of cameras going haywire, not being able to focus on an enemy when there are multiple enemies and screwing you over. So I come to you with all these issues. Give me the best scenario and give me the worst scenario so I understand how important or how not important game testers are. Who decide what gets fixed and what doesn't get fixed? Go ahead, Deli.
Well, that's kind of a tough layered question, because when we, in my field, level design, I need to know specifically if there are any bugs in the level, if there are any issues, if the weapons aren't working, if enemy spawns are terrible, blah, 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 this and that, right? So if a playtester comes back and gives me feedback and says, like, hey, by the way, this isn't really that fun because there's just way too many enemies spawning, I'd be like, okay, well, let's talk about the vision of the game. Let's talk about what we're trying to accomplish. Let's talk about everything that's leading up to it, because it's not so easy as like, let's just let's just make these changes, right? Because then I have to go up the chain or down the chain and say, like, what does this change affect, right? Is this moment in the game important to the narrative? Is this moment used for testing a new weapon out? Is this moment for testing the player's ability? Is this moment, like, what is this moment key to? Like any moment in the game, what is this moment key to? The narrative, the gameplay, the direction. And so when you're saying things like, oh, the healing thing is too long, it's like, now is that important for the atmosphere? And then we start talking about that, and then let's say Glenn Schofield is my game director, and he says, this is important because I want the game's atmosphere to be tense. I want this healing animation to be long because I want it to be very deliberate in the idea that you have to make choices that impact you. You have to make choices that are important. You can't just spam the heal because it increases the tension. Then I'm like, okay, well, if that's the point you're trying to make, then we go back and we start, going back and taking the feedback. Is the feedback working with players? How many players are saying, like, yeah, this works, versus how many players are saying, no, this is terrible? Then we have to go up and down the list and say, like, well, is it important to cut? Can we shorten the timing, right? Which they eventually did shorten the timing for, right?
Yeah, they did.
If they, at the time, let's say they were like, no, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Let's say out of 100 playtesters, only 40 complained. They'd be like, well, it's 60-40. How about we just keep it, and then let's just fix it on launch if people are still complaining about it. And then that could be a decision that's made, right? Or let's say, hey, that fix is going to take 2 or 3 weeks to shorten the animation because of this or that. Or maybe it's not that big of a priority. Let's say out of 100 things, fixing that animation and shortening it is priority number 99. And then they say, well, we have 80 more things that are more important to that. So let's just, I know it's a problem, write it down, we'll fix it after launch. And that could also be another way that they handle the game. So yeah, at the end of the day, those kind of decisions have to go through a lot of people, a lot of emails, and then, of course, our creative director pulls the trigger on that one. So if Glenn Schofield's like, I know this is a problem, I know people are complaining about it, it's not that big of a deal, let's just fix it later, then that'll probably be the decision that gets made, and then it'll probably be fixed later. which is probably what ended up happening because it ended up getting patched like down the road, 1 or 2 weeks down the road. So yeah, something like that, you know. As for enemies spawning too much,
No. They're not spawning too much. Well, two issues. The first issue, they're not spawning. There are certain enemies that's supposed to spawn to give you an tutorial. They don't. The second issue would be enemies die, then the game save, and the loot that the enemy drops.
yeah, that again, the checkpoint system being that aggressive, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it was a thing that, you know, was to promote or not promote dying. You know, we want you to play the game slower so it's not dying. But like I said, I'm not entirely sure what they were going for that game, because it's like the combat system and the dodge system is so fast paced, and then you have the game it's like the game's trying to tell you like, hey, please slow down, but then you get into the game and it's like it's like too fast paced. So I'm not entirely sure what they were going on. Maybe just at the end of the day, their thoughts were like, let's just keep a very aggressive checkpoint system, so it makes you think of first before you end up rushing into things and dying. Or maybe it's supposed to promote the idea that you're supposed to like use the dodge system and like, because from what I've seen, it's a very
I got you.
Game, you know what I mean?
I got you on that end, but they're actually punishing you for dying by not even giving you the loot
which
that you earned.
Which is something that they probably thought was a good thing.
I would agree with you if
I don't know.
I would agree with you if the game wasn't riddled with bugs and glitches to the point.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not entirely sure.
I feel you.
Those are the only explanations I can actually think of.
Yeah, I got you.
Like those are the kind of conversations that actually happen within a studio, right? Because if you and I are working on this game together, right, and then you say, hey, so let's talk about the checkpoint system. What do we just give them the stuff back? And it just be like, nah, I don't think we should. I think, you know, if they die, they should take that L, or they should, you know, or it's a small enough area they can just go back and pick that stuff up, right? And then like, you know, when I say that to you, what are you saying to me? You know, you could be like, well, I think that it would be good for players, and be like, well, you know, we have different multiplayer modes, or we have auto dodge. I can say something like that to you, right? If you don't want to die, then you have an auto dodge button. You know, you can turn
apparently people tried it, and it actually works with auto dodging. Doesn't even work that well. So yeah, I feel you. It's
but like that's the conversation we're having, right?
Yeah.
If a Nate comes in with a third opinion that says like, hey, we should give them their stuff back, even if they die, because of this or that, then we have a bigger conversation. Say, okay, so what's the decision ultimately that we're going to end up making, right? And then if Glenn comes in and we have a conversation with them, and Glenn comes in and Glenn says, well, I want the game to punish people for dying, then that's the decision that gets ultimately made, right? Despite how many conversations that we have.
Interesting, because to me, because I'm a real talk. If I was a playtester for that game, and that game released like this, then I am going to absolutely feel like my opinion or my experience doesn't matter. Because I went out of my way, it's my job, but to play the game multiple times, to let you know where the issue is, and then you don't even take that in consideration. Because to me,
to be fair though, my playthrough wasn't buggy. It was just I didn't run into the bugs. I mean, obviously I see them now. You know, there's millions of people, or you know, 1 million plus players now. And like I said, the one that Prince apparently ran into, I guess that got created after a certain patch or something. So I didn't run into that. I didn't really have any problem with glitches. Like I said, my stuff was purely gameplay based. And then, obviously the time I told you guys that, I mean, you seen Priscilla was streaming and she was fighting the boss in that area. And come to find out, when you die, the chests are supposed to close again, and that is supposed to be the ammo that you're supposed to have for that fight. So that was literally broken. So that I
That
did see that with
glitch, yeah.
her. Yeah, that was a glitch. It didn't happen to any of the rest of us when we played, but that was a glitch, and that's extremely unacceptable because it created a whole different problem for her during that part. But it is a glitch. It seemed to be rare. Um, but my main issue was, like I said, when I played it, was just there were areas, and it's not like it's riddled with them, right? Like, but there were certain areas, like you said, the auto dodge does not work. It's terrible. It's trash. Um, auto dodge implies it dodges for you, which it does not do. And like you said, it essentially made it worse. So that I'm assuming that does not work as intended. And then, like I said, the animation, the speed at which they made that animation change to me, I think they realized how much of an issue it was really fast when everybody complained about it. Like, it was so, like, I get what Deli was saying. They might have been like, "Yo, I want this certain level of like intensity or whatever." Like how critical it is for you to heal, like when you're not getting your ass beat. But like, I was like, it was slow to the point where like it was even slow when nothing was happening. Like, I was like, bro, I feel like I gotta wait 15 minutes for this man to kneel down and inject himself. I was like, the pacing, that's like the main thing. The pacing was weird. Um, and then it's like Deli was saying, like you have to consider when designing it, the speed of the enemies versus the speed of the player reaction ability. Um, you know,
Yeah.
like switching weapons shouldn't have taken this man that long. Now they sped it up to a point where it almost looks silly. Like like don't get me wrong, like he switches it almost comically fast now, which is also pretty
So
funny.
basically, so
But it
basically,
yeah,
every issue we had, they fixed it for the most part. For the most part.
yeah.
It sounds like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Ah. Hey,
Well,
Viper, you.
except the multi encounter. But I just don't see a way for them to fix that without changing the game, because like I said, it's just a matter of the way the character is built. Like, the only way they could do that is if basically, you get that that behavior players always laugh at, where they're like, "Hey, there's 5 enemies on screen, but one only attacks me one at a time."
Are
Like,
you
it's
talking
very very
about
obvious.
the blind dude?
No. I'm saying, like, in the multi encounters, when there's 2 or 3 enemies
Oh,
and he
okay.
goes to
Yeah.
dodge. So even if you dodge properly, sometimes you still get hit
Yeah.
because the animation can't keep up with the speed of the hit. So
Happened to me
yeah,
multiple
that's
times.
what.
I feel you. I feel you. Happened to me a lot. Um, I think, Delhi, and this is my opinion, this game would have been better received if we didn't have Evil West.
Uh,
When Evil West came out, it was also unfinished. It
I
was.
don't know. I didn't get a chance to play Evil West yet. I haven't gotten around to it, so I can't comment on that. Are they competing in the same vein? Do you guys
They are
think
not
so?
competing in the same way, but they are competing in the vein of games that people were excited for, and then released unfinished. So when you look at Evil West,
Mm,
you're looking at it unfinished. You're gonna start hearing stuff
well,
about
what do you mean by unfinished, right?
oh,
Because I think that when you say
buggy,
unfinished,
glitchy,
you say buggy
buggy,
and glitchy,
buggy,
but
glitchy,
there's still
and
a lot of people who finish that game start to finish without having any issues at all.
yeah, it's luck based.
So I don't think it's unfinished, nor do I think it's unplayable. I think that I think you could just say it was a rough launch.
Okay, rough launch then. Rough launch.
Because I think when you say unfinished, I feel like you mean
Fallout
games like
76.
Cyberpunk and
Okay,
Fallout
gotcha.
76 and games that are
Okay,
actually
fair
like,
point.
like Halo Infinite, where it's actually missing features. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, the game works, but it's missing things. It's not done yet. Whereas Callisto Protocol is pretty done. At least I feel like it is. But I also haven't ran into anything that like won't let me progress, right? So yeah.
Gotcha. Weep, do you have anything else to say about this topic?
Uh, no particular, but yeah, I also I would say it's not unfinished, and also don't really know if Evil West in the sense was buggy or glitchy. I think that game was just boring, I guess. It didn't
Mm-hmm.
have much to it. So I don't know if that in any way relates to the reception of Callisto Protocol. I think the game, got the reception that was fair based on how the game launched. Yeah, if that really translates to
Okay.
being disappointing in terms of sales, I mean that's cool. I mean, in a sense, that's fair, right? I mean, unfortunately, it's not always the case. A lot of great games don't get the appreciation they deserve, and there might be some games that get a lot of appreciation that don't deserve it. That's the way it is, unfortunately.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was
Um,
going to say, I do agree with you, though, that Evil West was a factor in its diluted sales, mainly just because I saw a lot of people on my timeline either asking for advice between the two of which one to pick up or saying they made a choice between the two. So most people who picked up Evil West did not pick up Callisto Protocol or vice versa.
and vice versa. Yeah.
Yeah, with the
'Cause-
very few exceptions like Kay who picked up both.
Yeah. But for example, these are moments I will never forget. A friend of mine was willing to put on $90 because he wanted to buy the collector edition. I forgot which edition for Callisto Protocol. He came to me specifically and said, "Do you recommend it?" And I told him, "I'm not the person to go through because I'm not even, a fan of the genre." I said, "Because you're not a fan, you're gonna be honest with me." So I told him my issue with it, and he saw some gameplay. He said, "Yeah, I'm gonna wait, because clearly the game need to it's rough. It have a rough having a rough launch, and he's gonna wait until the stuff getting fixed." Which, if he comes to me now and ask me, should I buy it? I'm gonna say for $40, yeah, go ahead, do so. Most of the issues that I have with it, they fixed already. My question would come: do you see guys think that we're gonna get almost like a relaunch or a Breath of Life for it with the DLC, or once release is over?
I mean, it depends on what the DLC is. But there's a lot of DLCs that are too little, too late. Uh, it may be something significant. I mean, it's rare. You're not going to really know till we know how substantial it is, right? Like I could tell you right now, I already plan to go back to like Cyberpunk when the expansion comes out, right? Because I know how extensive their DLC is, and I know I'm going to thoroughly enjoy that, right? Same thing with Horizon. Like I know I'm going to enjoy going back to that game. Hell,
Oh
I already
yeah, for
did go back
sure.
to it. Um, so like I already know that that dev really knows how to develop, what I guess at a level of expectation for that specific game and genre that they developed for. Um, and honestly the same thing for Resident Evil. Like I said, I'm not the biggest Resident Evil fan, but that DLC and stuff that they put out a lot, it was all over my timeline. When it dropped, people were like, when does it come out? Appropriate pricing, the other thing. So I think we just got to see what they're going to do. I mean, I already have access to it. So that's pretty telling if I already have access to it because I did get the collector's edition. Um, but so it's pretty telling if I don't go back to it because I didn't hate the game, right? Like, I mean, we both got the platinum in it. I didn't hate it, but I mean, they definitely need to expand on some things and work on. Like I said, I keep telling people, and some people don't get it because they don't play them. But I was like, PlayStation just be out here spoiling me, man. Like when you say something is supposed to work this way, it should work this way. Like we both had the issue where you would shoot the enemy tentacles and they would still transform, and then you'd have to,
Oh,
shoot
yeah,
5,000 more
yeah.
pounds of damage,
Oh,
because now they're stronger and they take more, and
yeah.
like that drove me crazy. Like, yo, if
Oh,
you tell me a mechanic in a tutorial works this way, and I shoot this thing dead center mass,
oh,
and then he transforms anyway, that pisses me off.
dude, I was with you. I'm like, I literally killed you. You're supposed to be dead. I hit your tentacles once, twice, whatever the time I need to, and yet you're still transforming. Now, as a gamer, I'm like, game, is this a glitch? Is this a bug? Or is this not even good developed? Because now you're breaking your own rules and set of logic.
Exactly. Yeah, that definitely gets on my nerves when
You
I go
remind
through
me with
something
that
and
shit.
it's
Because,
supposed to. No, that was a big one for all of us. Running into that weird issue, and I was like, "Come on, man! Like, it's got to at least work the way you tell me it's supposed to work."
precisely. So, why did I start talking about Callisto Protocol? Because there is a rumor, another, game that is set to be released is going to, have a rough launch, which is Atomic Heart. Apparently, rumor is not ready for release. Trailer is only a vertical slice. And
Yeah, I mean, that game's definitely about to get on the proving block
yeah.
here pretty soon.
Mm,
I'm definitely not accepting that. Oh well, it's on Game Pass, so it's okay. Like, yeah, none of that. No excuses.
yeah. New allegations have come to light that Atomic Heart isn't ready for prime time quite just yet. Originally reported on Russian website dft.ru, but corroborated by our source. Whistleblowers within Monkfish claimed that initial report that the game had been going through mismanagement has not changed. There are allegedly over 10 people in the studio who are speaking out on these issues. They cited issues with crunch, unmet promises for bonuses, reboot feature, creep, and others. If you say creep, are you talking about sexual predators and stuff like that,
No. I think creep as in like basically the thing that Rob. I think you missed that space, but Rob was basically explaining to us how in game development, like they keep going when you should, like, they got to define a hard line, right? Like for development, like you know what they say, like the reason for DLC half the time is we had 97 ideas and we could only put in 80.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So creep as in they keep going further and further instead of
okay, I got
getting
you.
to that cutoff to be like, hey, we need to go gold this day. So you're constantly creating creep, where you're creeping up on that release date, and yet you keep, adding stuff and, getting closer and closer to that date. So,
okay.
yeah.
We need to
that's
polish it.
That's a weird way to decide it, but
The phrase is actually called feature creep, but it's
yeah, he said it.
creep, so
Feature creep. Yeah.
feature creep is the term
There you
for it. It's just been, yeah.
So I was right though, right? That's what.
Yeah,
it is,
you're right.
Yeah.
You're
Okay.
right. It's it's the tendency to add features because you're like, oh, we can fit in one more, right? We can fit in one more, right? Like, for example, right? You're 10 weeks from launch. You're about to go gold next week, and somebody says like, hey, how long would it take for us to just add some small stuff in to the tutorial? And they say, it should take us about, and some developer says, it should take us like 2 or 3 days. And they said, okay, bet, let's do that. And then we realize that it's like 4 or 5 days now. It's 6 days.
Do you?
And then next week it's like, oh, hey, we're about to go gold. It's like, we're still working on this thing. And it's like, oh, then somebody comes up with another idea and says like, oh, this idea is great, but it'd be great if we piggybacked off and added this as well too. And then next thing you know, you're just adding small stuff.
Okay, and how does that work? does that voted in, or if, for example, I'm a developer and I say this, and I started implementing it on my own?
Well, I mean, he can only explain it from his point because he doesn't know how their team is structured.
Yeah.
You know, no. I'm just asking about creep. How does creep work?
It's like sometimes it's thinking that your audience is gonna appreciate it. Sometimes it's adding in a feature because somebody on the team wants to try something new.
I got you. I understand that front. I'm asking, do you do it then on? How does it get voted in? What I mean by that?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, sometimes it's just that. Sometimes it's like I think the people playing the game will enjoy this, and then it just gets voted in like that. Or sometimes it's like, Glenn wanted to try something new.
Okay, so there is a vote.
Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. It really depends.
Oh, okay.
If you're looking at a creator like Ken Levine, he is notorious for scrapping all of his stuff and starting anew again, right? That's why he's only made one game every 15 years, right? His last game was BioShock Infinite. His next game is Judas, and I don't know if that's coming out this year or next year. So that's been almost 10 years now. And then you talk to him, or you talk to people who have talked to him, and he'll be like, "This is great. I really love this feature." And then the next day he'll come in the office and say, "Take everything we have and scrap it, and we're going to start from the beginning again." And what do you say to the guy who's paying your salary?
That's a nightmare to work with. Then that's a nightmare.
So while I do, in fact, respect Ken Levine and his products, there have been some pretty terrible things that have been said about working with him. I've never worked with the man myself, but just judging from the anecdotes, it seems like he has spent a lot of his time tearing things down and rebuilding. And that's something that, when you're trying to add in new stuff, or when you think you're doing all this cool stuff, and then somebody comes up and says like, "Hey, I want to try something new, Ken." And then Ken takes that, and Ken says, "Actually, no, next week we're going to scrap that." What do you say? Is there a vote on that? You never really know, because each studio is different, right? At Ubisoft, I worked with like a team of like 24 people. So at Ubisoft, when we had to make a decision, I had to shoot it all the way up the ladder, right? So I had to talk to the guy above me, and then he had to talk to the guy above him. He got to talk to the person above them. And then, of course, when corporate came down and corporate said, "What are you guys working on? Dai, what are you working on?" I said, "Hey, I'm working on this awesome level. It's going to be a mix of stealth and then aggression. It's going to be non-lethal and lethal. And if you choose to play the ghost play style, like just hack your way in, you can play it from the outside, and it's really awesome. And you can play all three play styles. And if you use this specific gadget, you can go this way and that way." And then they say, "That's awesome, but that's not what we want with the game." And so even though it was approved all the way up, the guy that came to visit us from France said no, so it gets scrapped.
Oh,
it doesn't matter if 200 people voted on it or not. You know what I mean? And if they said, "Hey, I've had this, said in our studio before." Somebody said, "Hey, these characters are awesome, but let's not do that," and that was just code for make the characters white. And that was that. Like what we as a studio wanted to make this character who's black or Asian that rode around on a skateboard, and then they came in and said, "No, that's not how we want to do things." And even though the entire studio voted on it, if it comes down to whoever's paying the bills, whether it be investors or the studio head, you really can't. You don't really have a lot of wiggle room, right? Or some studios will, like Naughty Dog or Sony Santa Monica, will vote, and then they'll take that vote into consideration, and it'll all come down to one person, rather than somebody who's paying the bills or whatever. It'll come down to, the production, or like
Neil Druckmann,
designer, or Neil Druckmann. Neil Druckmann can say, "This is an awesome thing. We may not do that." Or Cory Barlog said, "Hey, that's awesome that you guys all voted to cut this feature, but we're not cutting that feature." So it could be something like that as well too, where it's decided upon somebody who is actually working on the game, or it could be decided upon somebody who's not working on the game.
The reason why I asked you is because I was genuinely curious if it was something that I'm working on my own. I decided to do so, and then all of a sudden the team find out, and that screwed over the development time. That was genuinely curious about if it was decided by one man or voting or even the higher up. I have a picture now.
It could happen like that too. You know, I could come in one day and then you could come up to me and show me something that you've been working on over the weekend, and I say, "Oh, that's super awesome. Let's present that." And then you present that, and everybody votes on it, and then we work on it, and then it doesn't work with the game, right?
And then you need to remove it. Then
you scrapped
okay,
it.
yeah.
But even then, that vote happened with everybody in the studio, but you just inadvertently caused 3 months of work to be scrapped because you thought taking work home on the weekend was cool. And that's something that, you know, yes, that it could be decided by one person like that. Or it couldn't be decided by one person. It really depends. It's very...
Gotcha.
Again, every studio is different, right? Some studios are very strict and say, no, we can't because the investor won't let us. And some studios are like, yeah, Sony just ranked up, you know, Sony or Microsoft just wrote us a blank check. Let's try it out. And then y'all try it out for 6 or 7 months, and then y'all scrap it and then start again and then say, let's try it out. Let's try out this something new. And it really comes down to who's paying the bills, right?
Gotcha. Thanks for explaining. With this game, however, the more you go deep in the rabbit hole, the more scary it looks. Apparently, gameplay trailers for Atomic Heart were being utilized at vertical slices. While that in itself isn't necessarily out of the ordinary, the claim was these were deliberately used to mislead investors on the game progress. Subsequently, development bills that were shown to the investors led to a cycle of new changes being demanded. Atomic Heart was itself not originally planned to be an open world game, but that was one of the features added. Interestingly, the whistleblower also signaled out Montfish CEO Robert Bagratuni. Bagratuni was a person who promised bonuses if staff gave up weekends on vacations to crunch on the game. I'm livid now with this one, if it's true. I'm gonna finish this and then I'm gonna open up for chat, cause this is way bigger, way more different than we normally hear with crunch and stuff like that. This is now they're actually misleading investors, and that can't get any good for gamers, for us gamers with the game release. In regard to investors other than Bakutuni also demanded crunch over New Year's break and were given too much sway when it comes to who could be fired and hired into the studio. Damn. In regard to the milestone, the management planned it all poorly. The studio didn't meet any of these milestones, especially for the console version. There was also insignificant time set aside for testing, which only 2 to 3 months set aside for console testing. There's a lot to read about it, but this is yo, Daddy, going to you as an actual developer. What the heck, man?
That just sounds like an absolute mess. I don't know, it just sounds crazy. I don't really have much to say about it, just because the entire thing is hard to
believe. I got you.
It's kind of hard to believe. It's stranger than fiction. Is it actually real? Like, yeah, we've heard a bunch of stories like this before. But like it is really, really tough, you know. This management, just a lot going on. I think there's too many ideas being, or too many talking heads, you know, saying what they want to say, and too many yes men, terrible managements. You know, I think that's pretty. Yeah.
You can fool investors. Because clearly, most investors don't play games. But can you actually fool PlayStation and Xbox though? Because it's coming to their platform.
I mean, look at EA and BioWare with Anthem, right? This was the most recent example. It's 2019, right? Their build, their E3 build, was something that was made in a couple months or a couple weeks, and when they showed it off at E3, none of the developers who worked on the game knew what was going on, because they didn't realize that was the game that they were making. And it fooled everybody, it fooled the entire world, right? And multiple publishers as well too. And then after E3, they said, "What are we making?" And then they said, "Well, we're gonna make a game like that E3 trailer." And then that's when they started the real game. And then it released, I don't know, maybe a year right after that. So they only had like 12, 14 months of development time where they knew exactly what they were doing. And that's, to me, that was the largest scale, not scam, but largest scale, fool that they could pull over on anybody. And they fooled EA, they fooled multiple publishers, both Microsoft and Xbox, or Microsoft and PlayStation, and they fooled the world, on the gaming's biggest stage. So yeah, I think it is possible. I think it's very hard to, but yeah, and also look at Abandoned was something.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's somebody he's
still,
us to run around.
I am still surprised that Chuichida was actually retweeting this. I was shocked about that one. So I feel you. With Atomic Heart, it just got an release date, or at least a trailer, at the Game Awards show. If this information had been out before the Game Awards, so I'm sorry, but in an industry as fragile as this, with a lot of stuff seems to be happening in the background, is there no one that can be held accountable then for this?
Hey Omar, and I'm part of the problem. As long as there are people willing to pre-order it early, and it's not just me, it's a bunch of us that have pre-ordered that. Because I don't care what it looks rough. But I looked at the 2 previews on PlayStation. They got 2 of them on there, and it looks rough. It looks really rough. But I'm willing to pre-order and then set that in the background until it's completely done.
You talking about Atomic Heart specifically?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure whether or not you were interested in that game.
Nah, he wanna try it because the trailer told him.
Going to be part of probably my I probably won't get to it till like maybe a year and a half from now, but I did pre-order it. I am going to keep it unless something goes terribly wrong and they refund my money back. That's the only way that I'm going to get my money back.
So okay, so let me ask you this then. You Viper, we know you don't like to ask for refunds, right?
No, not really, no. Unless I actually feel like I got screwed over.
Okay.
I never asked for a refund. I just take that L.
Okay, if this game comes out unfinished, broken like a mofo, and it gets a 50 or 40 on meta, you still have time to refund it, because the game is broken and clearly unfinished to the degree that they lied. They clearly flat out lied. Would you still give them their money?
Yes. And first of all, I don't even want to utter that shit ass website's name. So
I'm giving it an example.
The score on that has nothing to do with it. It could come out as 0 and I would still buy the game. But yes, I just said it's going to be part of my. It's going to go in my library of games until they decide to fix it up, unless something goes so horribly wrong that they give me my money back and say this game got canceled.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, to the point where you're talking about, Omar, if it is as egregious as your scenario, I mean, we've obviously seen where the companies will step in and basically speak up and be like, look, if you want your money back, you got it, no problem. They did that with Cyberpunk, um, so on and so forth, because it released an absolute mess on the older gen consoles and so on and so forth. So, I mean, if they release like that, I mean, they're crazy to do so because clearly the companies, won't play that once they find out what's really going on. So,
And just
yeah.
so you know, I pre-ordered Cyberpunk 2 years in advance. 2 years. They played the whole damn price. It got delayed once. It got delayed again, and then it came out a mess. And I still have it.
Yeah.
I didn't bother. I didn't even bother to ask for the money back.
Mm-hmm. Okay, gotcha. Weep, what's your thought? How would you move if you were, an investor, not an investor, if you have pre-ordered Atomic Heart, which I don't think you
Uh,
have, right?
no, no, I don't. Though I was interested in based on what I've seen and I know who's involved in the soundtrack, but yeah, I'm gonna hold off until the game drops because I have been burned before, and I mean we've seen recent titles that were hyped up and turned out to be disappointing. So I'll hold off on that one. So. Um, Yeah, I didn't quite get the entire story about but how they were fooling investors, but definitely not a smart move to do because investors do tend to be litigious, so they might get sued there, and that's going to cost them a lot if the judge rules against them. So yeah, but you know, let's say that this is sort of yeah, and I kind of am with Viper there. I also have a tendency to pre-order games if they're interesting. Um, but yeah, it's probably a smart move to hold off if you're not sure, especially with new IPs or with untested developers. Um, if of course you don't have any or don't have any problems with spending money and wasting that. If that's not an issue with you, then go ahead. But if you are have to choose where you put your money, then yeah, be cautious there. I mean, and the only games that I would um, again I haven't burned before, but the only games I really put my money there without waiting for reviews, or if they're from studios that I trust, there are IPs that I generally just a fan of, or they're a sequel of something that was really good, then it's generally no brainer. But with new things or untested developers, yeah, I mean, uh, uh, you should be cautious if you can afford to spend your money on anything
Mm,
that takes your
gotcha,
fancy.
gotcha, gotcha. Uh, Viper,
What's up?
you already said you already said something, but you wanna go or you have, or you already said what you wanna say?
No, that's all I want to say is
Okay,
there's
gotcha.
a lot of games that I pre-order and I don't normally get to it till like a year later. So I'm usually playing it in its most optimal state when I
Mm,
start playing it.
gotcha, interesting.
Yeah,
NH you already went, I remember.
I mean, that's a big difference for me though. Like, it's like I pre-order less now than I ever have. Largely because, especially this year, there's so much stuff coming out on top of each other.
Yep.
Um, and we're not even gonna have a conversation about the amount of games that I'm in the middle of, um,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm almost done on, that this, that, and the third. Like, it's a mess. And I know most of these other people are just as much. It's right there. The fork is in the bag. But yeah, like and that's a big reason why, right? So now, I mean, with a few exceptions, if Priscilla really wants something and she's like, "Ooh, this is gonna be amazing," and I really want it, like like for instance, right? There's all this talk about the stuff dealing with Starfield. Like, I don't I'm not gonna miss anything pre-ordering Starfield a week before it actually comes out, right? Like so it's just like the way it's set up for me. Like I know I'm already gonna get it. Like that's a sure shot game because she's a massive Bethesda fan and so am I. Bethesda, the developer, not the publisher, because oh my god, I'm sick of people mixing that up.
Is there a difference?
Yes. Yeah, the developer is like Todd Howard's team, the people who make Fallout and so on and so forth and Skyrim. Like people keep using the publisher and describing or they're specifically talking about like Todd Howard and stuff, and they mention things like the Arcane Studio team and stuff, which he doesn't work on.
Oh yeah, on that end. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
What we call it? Todd Howard is strictly Fallout and Elder Scroll focus.
Starfield and all that
Gotcha,
stuff. Yeah.
gotcha.
But yeah, like I said, I don't have a. It's not like what they said. Like, yeah, I haven't really asked for a refund or anything, but that's largely because my judgment on the games that I pick up are so keen that like I never really feel like I got burned. You know what I mean? I probably regret 2 games a generation at this point that I bought because I'm that cautious and that just dialed in on what I like. And chances are, I bought something. If I wasn't really feeling it, I knew ahead of time this is gonna be like a okay game, and I bought it anyway. Like I still like Mario Odyssey, right? I bought that game. I knew I wasn't gonna like it. I bought it anyway, just to, I guess, like, you know, show people like, look, that I know what I'm talking about. And I played that game for all of about an hour and a half, and I had to force myself every freaking minute I played it, and I hated it.
Oh, so you're not having fun. Gotcha.
Yeah, but it's not because I think it's a bad game. See, that's the difference. I know it's a good game. It's a great game. In fact,
Not for you.
It's not for me.
Gotcha.
And I'm cool with that. So I can make that distinction quite easily. So yeah, like I know not to really get into that, you know, and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's a large reason why you'll hear like Deli and Viper and them say like, you know, hey, like I'm not going to really ask for a refund because at that point, if the game is as egregious as we heard, then I mean, they don't have to ask for a refund. They're basically going to get one. The game is going to be removed. We've seen PlayStation literally remove, you know, Cyberpunk from the store until they got their shit together. So
yeah,
yeah. If it's that bad, I don't think you have to worry about it. I think it'd be really, really obvious.
shout out to PlayStation
Yeah.
for upgrading.
There aren't games that come out that often that are that bad. Like when I mean that bad, I mean like below a 50, right? Like when's the last game that you saw that came out at a below a 50 that you went out and bought?
Yeah, basically.
I think.
I don't think that I bought a game below 50 in quite some time, and I bought Saints Row. You know, I beat it. I enjoyed it. I liked it, and I bought that game, and that game was like a 60 or a 70. You know what I mean? So,
gotcha.
like I said, a game that's actually messy. You know, under like 60 or under 50. It's games like that don't come out often.
I think
the last one was
last one.
World.
No, oh god, don't remind me of that one. It had 3 different jump buttons. Like, nah, we're not doing that.
Hey, you know, I'm gonna buy that game and review it.
Okay, so the game that I remember would be Crossfire X. That was sitting in 40, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
I have I will ask that maybe later if we have time. The final topic, I think the final topic would be, I'm gonna give you the floor, Deli. Trophies and achievement. What your thoughts on them? What are the developer thoughts on them? And for later, does Nintendo need them?
You know, do I think Nintendo needs them? I mean, I don't think necessarily.
Say yes.
I mean, I would like them. Don't get me wrong. Achievements are always a nice way to like track of things, but I don't think they need them because I think there's definitely enough people on the Switch to continue playing that with or without them. But do I think achievements are good? So the other day, I think it was last week. So last week there was a Ubisoft massive developer by the name of Frederick. He's a lead gameplay designer. He tweeted out that, mind you, he did disclose that it was an unpopular opinion, right? But he tweeted out and he said achievements and trophies have been bad for gaming because it narrows it down and it disrupts attention, and then it eats resources that could have made a game better. So I just wanted to talk about that from a developer's standpoint. Is that, do I think achievements are bad? No, I don't think so. I honestly, I don't think they've been bad for gaming. I think they're great for gaming because they've literally given an entire subset of gamers a thing to do, right? So now if you're a gamer that is playing games for enjoyment, or you're playing games for completing your checklist, whatever it may be, gaming is for everybody, right? So there should be games for everybody, and there are gamers like speedrunners or people who like to chase platinums, right? Even if they hate the game, they platinum the game. There are gamers that will do that because that's their enjoyment. They want to do it. They like getting that platinum. They liked flaunting or showing off that they've played the game, beat the game, or are an expert at the game, right? That gives gamers a sense of pride, and that gives gamers the ability to come back and invest back into the ecosystem, into the industry. Now, do I think that they benefit gamers or developers or publishers? I think that they benefit publishers more than they benefit anything else. I think that they benefit mostly publishers because at the end of the day, you're driving those analytics up, right? You're the ones that keeping yourself engaged with Sony or Microsoft. You're the ones that are coming back. You're the ones that are putting more time on the PlayStation or the Xbox. You're the ones putting more time on the Microsoft store or on the PlayStation store, right? Because those, at the end of the day, that's what they're there for. They're there to reward people and keep them inside that ecosystem. A lot of the reason why I like playing on PlayStation is because I have my first trophy was from like 2009. I've been playing and collecting trophies for what feels like forever now, right? Or a lot of people like to stay on Xbox because they have an account that has 8,000 gamer score or 80,000 gamer score, or Rand, who has 1 million gamer score. He stays on Xbox because he's proud of that achievement. So yeah, do I think that they benefit the developers? Not really. Do they benefit gamers? Yes. Do they benefit publishers? Most definitely. But yeah, as a developer, how long does it actually take to implement these things? Because he said that it eats up resources. It does eat up resources. I'm not gonna lie and say that it doesn't.
Oh,
because it takes
interesting.
manpower. It takes manpower, right? So if you just wanted to, it's not like it's not as easy as like, oh yeah, we just add the trophies in, right? Because from my experience, when we were making our trophy list for Legion, or for the achievement list for Legion, it doesn't take too much time, but it took about 1 to 2 weeks in order to get the list up and running, like to get the list, finalized. And then it took probably another week or two to get it approved. And then after it got approved, it took about a month to program the entire thing. So, programmers, engineers, and designers, we all work together and say like, hey, this is how we're going to implement this. And then it took about another month or two, depending on how long the game is. It took about a month and a half for us to test the trophies to make sure that they pop properly, to make sure that they are working, make sure all the chapter ones are working, make sure all the side mission ones are working. So it took about 4 months out of our development cycle, which we've been developing for, at that time, 3.5 years. So that was about 40 months. So I would say that, does it take resources? Yes, it does take resources, because it took 4 months out of the 40 that we had. So it took 10% of our time we spent on the game, we spent making trophies, specifically for our game. So it does take resources. Does it disrupt attention and divert attention for gamers? It does, for sure. I think that does it do it for everybody? No, but there is a large amount of people that are fond of achievements and fond of trophies that definitely cater towards that kind of stuff. Does it benefit every game? No. Does it benefit some games? Yes, right. The prime example for this is From Software games, right? Dark Souls 3 had a trophy called Archdragon Peak. It's a hidden area in the game, and how to access it, you need to get like a gesture, and then you need to go to an area and then use that gesture, and then once you do that, you unlock this completely optional side area. And the trophy is just reach Archdragon Peak. It doesn't tell you what it is, it doesn't tell you how to do it doesn't tell you anything else about it. So for you as a gamer, if you read that trophy, like for me as a gamer, I beat the game and then I scroll through the trophy list to see if the game is good enough for me to like want to spend an extra X amount of time doing the trophies, right? I really liked Ghost of Tsushima, so I scrolled through and I said, oh, these trophies look pretty easy and I really like playing the game. So I'm going to continue playing the game and I'm going to plat this game because I really love this game. Some people just play the game just to play the game, or some people look at the trophy list and say, oh, this seems like an easy trophy list, I'm going to do it, right? But for me, I really love that game, so I went and go did it. For Dark Souls 3, I saw this trophy and I said, I don't know what Archdragon Peak is. So then I scrolled around and I looked around and I, looked online or whatever it may be and found out it was an optional area. So I was like, oh, let me go check this out. And then for me, that gave me more replayability. That gave me a better experience because I got to this optional area. And the reason why I think that trophy is good, because you spend time doing something that's completely optional and you're rewarded for it. So you get items, you get a boss fight, and you get a bunch of other things, but you don't have to change how you play. If you're a mage player or a strength build player in that game, you can just go there and do that. It doesn't influence how you play your game, right? Now, something that I think is bad is like in God of War 2018, collecting Odin's ravens.
Yeah,
I think
I am 1000% with you.
Because it's like, you have these players that now don't care about the game, and then they just care about that number going from 0 to 50 or whatever, 0 to 45, right? So now you're having gamers that run through an area, and for me specifically, when I saw a raven and I found my way down there, if there was a puzzle or there was a combat section, I was like, man, why is this game preventing me from getting the raven? I then became annoyed with the game's core mechanics, which are combat and puzzle, because I wanted this stupid little raven, right?
Yeah.
And ultimately, it felt like a chore, and I ignored a lot of things. And then when people asked me how I felt about that game, that's my stark memory. It was like, I hated the ravens. I remember looking through the trophy list for Ragnarok, and I was like relieved that there wasn't one for collecting the ravens. Like,
oh, there wasn't? I forgot that there wasn't.
But like,
but with the second one, they done it better job at it.
Yeah, for sure. But that's the kind of influence that a trophy or achievement can have on a player.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're playing the game for 40 hours already, and you don't like what you're doing, let's say you spend 2 hours or 10 hours chasing these ravens, and you don't like 10 hours of the game that you're playing, it's gonna leave a sour taste in your mouth. So it's definitely something that can be a double-edged sword, right? And I have zero beef with trophies that tell me which chapter I'm on, right? I feel like those are pretty standard. Like, you beat chapter 1, don't care about that stuff. No problem with that stuff at all. My biggest gripe is trophies that trophies that are PvP related. I think they're
yes, thank you.
Yeah, I hate PvP trophies. Like,
yeah, I agree with that.
I think
especially if you're not a PvP player and you're playing single player game, it shouldn't be forced to do PvP. I agree 1000%.
Yeah, you should have PvP challenges.
Yeah,
like, I have no problem with Call of Duty or Halo giving armor skins or weapon skins to challenges. Do that. Have at it. It's fun. It's great. Those
do it aside though. Make it aside. Make it optional. Yeah.
Yeah. But they're in game. They're internal achievements, right? But when you have a trophy, right? I have a great example here, right? Destiny, when it came out in 2014, right? Destiny. There's a PvP related trophy called you have to get an assist for 50 capture points in Control, right? And if anybody remembers this, there were a lot of people who didn't like Crucible when it first launched. If you're playing on the PlayStation 3, because you hadn't bought the PlayStation 4 in 2014 yet, right? Which was something that I did. I played Destiny on the PlayStation 3. before the Taken King DLC, which was like almost a year and a half into the game, and before the Rise of Iron update, which was like almost several years into the game, right? Control, in order to get this trophy, you had to play Control. And Control was only available on the classic 6v6 playlist, which means that you had to go into Crucible and then you had to play this classic playlist and then you had to hope that you got Control. Then once you got Control, you had to go, you couldn't capture the points, you had to get assists. So you had to like go in, start it, and then let your teammates start, finish it, and then you had to leave, and you had to do that like 50 times. And then if you, in 2014, I didn't get good internet until 2014, 2015. So my internet was like 1 megabyte a second. Then later, Bungie was like, hey, by the way, if you have bad connection issues, we could ban you. They published a statement that said, we are more than willing to ban players that have bad connection issues. So now I'm like, wow, they don't want me to play PvP. And there's a PvP trophy. When you have things like that, it really, really makes players have a bad time. And that's one very, very memorable experience that I had in my mind when I think of a PvP trophy, right? There's another one for like an older game where you had to like kill an enemy who was at their base returning their flag and captured the flag on a certain map. And like that was just crazy, that was like the stupidest thing on planet Earth. I was like, why would you ever make this a trophy?
Gotcha.
No.
I have a question. You were talking about a trophy taking time to be implemented. How much time are we talking about?
Yeah, like I said, 4 months is.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
It's about
Yeah.
4
4
months to
months.
get an entire list going.
Oh,
So
entire
whatever.
list.
The entire
Okay.
list, yeah. So that's from creation. So we start the list, we get it approved, then we program it, and then we test it. So
Okay.
that takes about 4 months.
Okay, 4 months for entire list.
Mm-hmm.
If we're talking, and now I'm changing the subject because I want to gain some information. If we're talking implementation for DualSense, a good implementation, how long does it take? Do you know?
No, because we didn't have major DualSense features in our game, so I don't know. I can't answer that.
Gotcha. I forgot if Watchdog Legion have them or not, so I can't comment about that. Okay. I'm gonna give the floor to the one and the only Mr. I platinum a game that had more than 54 game breaking
Yes.
bugs. Delhi, there is level for this, and this is Mr. Viper. Go ahead, Viper. Break it down for us.
As I stated in the tweet in the response, Sword and Fairy 6 is the only game that I did not enjoy while playing through it. Normally, I platinum games that I enjoy. But I started back in, I think, 2010. Final Fantasy 13 was my first platinum because I was 3 trophies away. And it was something like building weapons or some shit. I had to build every weapon in the game. And I was like, oh, I'm only that far away. Let me see what this is like. So that was the first taste that I got of a platinum trophy was back in 2010. For some reason, my history is muddy between 2010 and 2015. But 2016 was when I started getting real heavy on platinum in games. And at first I wanted to platinum everything I got my hands on. But then I slowly realized I don't like every game, and I'm not about to sit through and, deal with some of these trophies. Like, for example, Star Ocean, the International Hope, have something that they call battlefield accomplishments or something like that. I can't remember. I was supposed to be home looking at this on my PlayStation, but I'm driving back with some food. So, there's about 750 to 800 of them. Some of them are simple, but some of them are ridiculous. One of the more ridiculous ones is the Erythreal Queen. You have to hit her 1 million times. Now, in order to do that,
I'm sorry. That sounds so Star Ocean. Like,
it is 1 million times, and per battle you could only get about maybe 300 hits off because you'll be too strong and you kill her. So what did they do? They came up with this thing where we can rubber band, the button, and then rubber band the control stick and leave it on overnight for about a week. Once I ran up on that trophy, I was like, you know what? No, if a trophy becomes not worth it, I'ma just move on. And then that's when I got the idea, okay, I'm only gonna try to platinum games that I enjoy. And so I get more fruitful.
Oh, 1 second. You were but 1 second. You're butting.
Yeah, good.
Wait a second.
And here's how better at games. Say, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, 1 second. You were butting. Go ahead, try again.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you right now.
Okay, yeah, I'm almost home, so it's gonna hook me back up to my Wi-Fi right outside the house. So I'm gonna just stay right here and speak for a second. Yeez 8, 9, and Calcutta or etc. I can't remember what it is. They have a trophy where you have to play as characters for a certain amount of time. I think for Yeez 8 is 4 hours or 5 hours. And they also have trophies where you have to get every skill, which in order to unlock the skills, you have to use the older skills. And the higher level you are, the more chance that the skill will pop once you... So for me, Suhai, I think his name is, for Yeez 8, was my favorite because I like the big brawly, type characters. And normally I would play a game, I would get my 3 characters, boom, that's it. Those are 3 I'm rolling with. I don't care about the other 8 that's on the team. Now, with the trophies, I looked over the trophies for the game and it says, play with each character 5 hours, get all the skills. I was like, all right, well, let me see what this is like. It turns out the big brawly character was not my favorite because I didn't give the guy with the gun a shot, the gun and the bayonetta. And what wound up happening was I almost missed out on my favorite character if I would have played the way I normally would have played. So once I got the platinum in that game, I was like, oh, okay, so there are games where it will enhance it'll enhance my playing ability. Another thing is, for Final Fantasy VII, the original, ain't no way in hell somebody found Knights of the Round by them damn selves. They had to have help to find that. So, and that was one of what some people would consider one of the best summons in the game. So I would have been missing out on that. So as life moves forward and I'm playing these games and I found out that I need to branch out to other games. You're talking to a person who thought Diablo was a first-person shooter. So now that I know that it's not, I'm playing Diablo. I'm trying to get trophies in that, and trophy hunting for me has been enlightening because it actually enhanced my gameplay and made me want to explore more. Versus, because I'm the type of person that if I get frustrated easily, and if I get frustrated, I'm gonna just move on. I'm gonna try and I'm gonna keep trying. Like there's some trophies that are tied to doing it on our hardest level. Normally when I see trophies like that, I just skip it. But later on in life, like the last 3 years, I'm like, all right, let me try it. Let me see if it's frustrating. And if it wasn't frustrating. So I'm like, all right, maybe I could do these difficulty trophies. So trophies do help enhance how I play games. And that's how I see it.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. If you had to choose 3 trophies concepts that you dislike, which one would it be?
I don't like racing. I don't like time trials. The time trial, that is the bane of my existence. Time trials and multiplayer trophies. I can't stand them.
Yeah, okay. I agree with you. I don't like either one of those. Those are my worst.
Both of you are Gran Turismo 7 players. No. Nate, you're also for the players.
No.
How?
Time trial though. I like to race. I don't like time trial stuff though.
Time trial. That's what I meant. Time trial. I didn't mean race in general. I meant time trials.
Yeah.
Something like something where it says you have to. For example, Judgment. They have them fucking drone races where it says you have to beat the level in like 48 seconds, and I'm like, there's so many goddamn turns for my fingers to fucking do that. I was like, no, never mind. I'm done.
Yeah.
So I'm at
Okay.
like 96% on judgment.
Okay, gotcha. Weeb, what about you?
Um, yeah, I don't think trophies are bad. Look, sure, I can't look at it from a developer perspective, but as a gamer, I mean, I've come to enjoy them. I can understand the criticism to a certain degree. I do. Um, there are of course people who are trophy hunters and will ignore games that are not that don't give a plat or they don't have many trophies. Um, Viper,
Gotcha.
you're can you mute your mic maybe?
Yeah.
Me?
No,
Oh,
Viper.
Daddy. Gotcha.
Dude, no.
Yeah,
You're gonna
Viper,
get
Viper, Viper. I misheard it. Go ahead.
okay. Um, yeah, but I've come to enjoy them because I wouldn't say I'm a say plat hunter in the sense that I only play games to get plats, but when I play a game, I do check the trophy list, see if the plats is achievable, and then I'll go for it. And I suppose that the way you play the game changes in the sense that I will check guides to see are there any missable trophies that could um, change a gameplay in the sense that you're not playing it just purely and just let it happen, but you actually have a strategy where you will always be conscious. Okay, there's going to be something coming up that's missable, so I will have to do that to get the trophy. But other than that, I mean, I'd say it does, it, on average, increases my enjoyment because I'll try to get the most out of the game. And there
Mm-hmm.
have been games that you know, I generally, I do prefer to get everything in one go. So if a game forces me to, play the game 27 times to get all the endings, that's something I'm not going to do. But sometimes I will replay a game depending on how some we both like the East games. I have no problem with replaying those games because you can do New Game Plus, and yes, it's at a higher difficulty because you have to do the Nightmare difficulty, but you know, adding to that you can carry over a lot of your stuff, that sort of makes it doable, and you can skip the story if you want. Um, so I don't mind doing that, and like a game like Resident Evil 2, I played that too, even though you have to sort of beat that multiple times, and you have to also have like speed runs that basically there are timed trophies there. But I don't mind that because it's kind of fun to figure out how to be able to, uh, basically have a strategy. Okay, how can you go through this game as fast as possible? Basically, sort of a speed run trophy essentially, and I enjoy it because I enjoy the game. It depends, of course, on the game itself. If there are games that are frustrating, that you're sort of like, okay, I'm glad I enjoyed it maybe, but I'm not gonna don't want to play this game again. Yeah, if you're forced to play that game again, that kind of sucks. So I kind of hate trophies that are um, sort of difficulty related and don't really and you can't play the difficulty right from the start, right? So you have to unlock that. Unless it's actually fun to replay that if it has like New Game Plus, that's doable. But if you just have to start from scratch, and you can't actually do that from the start. I think you were. I think it was Valkyria Lysium that actually didn't even give you the. If you played it on higher difficulty, you still had to play it on normal, right? That's what was what you're playing, right, Omar?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really ridiculous. So I would never go for that.
So you
Yeah, Mel,
stackable trophies. That's what you're talking about. They should stack if you play on the hardest level.
absolutely. I mean, I absolutely don't understand why anybody would build it like that. And yeah, multiplayer trophies I also suck. Like there's I'm like well, I still have to continue, but for example, that Transformers games, Fall of Cybertron and War of Cybertron, I forget which one. It's the second one, but that has multiplayer trophies, but you can never get them because the servers are down. So that kind of sucks with multiplayer trophies. Even if for some reason they're doable, if you hop on later on in the game and the servers are down, you're screwed. You can never get those trophies ever again because they're online. So yeah, I would like trophies to be designed in a way that they're always achievable, that they're not frustrating, don't really take joy out of the game. I mean, I don't mind collectibles, and like I don't really share the frustration with Deli had with Ravens in or Crows, Crows Ravens in God of War 2018. But I think that's very subjective. If you get irked by that, sure, that can take the enjoyment out of that. But overall, I'd say the way PlayStation does it, generally, I know some people would prefer to get a trophy for the difficulty, but generally, I think that's actually a great way to do it because you're allowing people to actually get a platinum trophy without frustrating them to have to beat the game on a higher difficulty than they're able to. I mean, sure, I can understand prestige that you want to be able to show off that are a capital G gamer and able to defeat a game on the highest difficulty. But I also kind of understand that it's kind of sucks that you will be able to get every single trophy in a game except for one because you don't want to play the game again on a higher difficulty. So that's kind of so I kind of appreciate that the way they're doing it. The only games that I that I wish I could platinum but have never done so are the Yakuza games. The closest one I got was 7, but I couldn't really stomach the grind to defeat the final secret boss because that was ridiculous. You had to not only level up your main characters your characters to the max, which was doable, but also their jobs and several jobs, and that was completely bonkers. I spent hours trying to raise them, and I still wasn't enough. So I kind of quit them. And the other games generally have the issue that they require you to also beat mini games at the highest with the highest scores. And I generally suck at rhythm games, and I have no clue how to play my mahjong. So that kind of irks me in the sense that you shouldn't really have trophies tied to side activities that are really challenging for some people. But other than that, in general I enjoy trophies, and I'll try to get a platinum whenever I can.
Gotcha. And
yeah,
Nate, yeah, go ahead.
Nintendo should definitely get trophies or achievements or what.
And Nate.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I like trophies plenty. Largely, I mean, my philosophy is pretty much along the same lines as what most of us have said. If you like the game, you go for it. If I like it enough, within what they're asking me to do, obviously, I do prefer PlayStation's cadence better. The way they set their stuff up has been brilliant. I see, like, I don't mind the collectibles in Horizon because there's so few of them, and exploring the world organically, I tend to run into them anyway. Like, I think that's how they should be. Yeah, people saying it ruins them though is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Because I mean, like I said, ultimately you could just turn them off if they bothered you. Which is why I don't get why some people are like, they need to go away. But yeah, I don't know. Just like I said, everybody pretty much said kind of how I feel about it. Multiplayer trophies are definitely one of my most hated. So are time
Mm,
trials, and I agree with Weeb that uh,
I am
the ones
sur-
that are linked to the server are annoying because I will forever not have the platinum trophy for Mercenaries from EA because they decided to tie the trophies to the server, and I passed $1 million when they had a server outage, and like the servers went down by the time like I went back to it, so you can never get the trophy again. The trophy won't trigger. So I had a
What?
$1 billion. I have the trophy for $1 billion, but not the trophy for $1 million. And that is literally the only trophy that stops me from having the trophy on that game.
Oh, damn. And you can't spend your money and then get $1 million and have it pop up again?
No, because the server it had the way they set it up, it was linked specifically to the server. So the server got shut down. So
Mm,
the trophy just won't trigger anymore.
okay. Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah. And
Also,
then also hold on. The other thing, like Deli was saying, the PvP stuff, which is why Call of Duty was brilliant for no longer making multiplayer trophies. Also the one trophy on Destiny that eludes me from having the platinum on that game is the one where you have to run a flawless raid. I have run the raid flawless multiple times. The problem is that all six
what's a flawless
people,
raid?
I mean, no one dies. Period.
Oh, okay.
You play it perfectly. Now I've run it that way and I've not died. The problem is D1 had definitely had its issues, right? So the closest I ever got, we were on the final boss, on the final wave of the boss, and we went in the room on the side where you have to kill the Minotaur. I was perfect at it. I was godly at this shit. We could run someone through who couldn't even play the game. We could literally drag you through a 6-man raid with 5 people. Like you could
Okay.
literally stand still and look at the ceiling. It didn't matter. Like that's how good we were at it.
So what
So
happened?
what happened was we killed him. He glitched, got back up, and hit somebody into the wall and killed them
Oh, man.
on the final wave, and you that has to be the entire raid, mind you. So we can't just like, oh, load up here and try to complete the raid flawlessly. We have to
Oh.
complete it from the very start of the raid to the end. And like I said, I've personally done it where I've never died multiple times. It was extremely easy for me,
Oh,
um,
damn.
especially the one that we did it on. But then that one glitch, like at that point, like we had ran it so often, but it's like it's trying to find multiple people who are capable of doing that. And you can't really fault somebody for like missing a jump. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm,
there's so many areas where you can die in the Destiny raids that it made that trophy so annoying. So it's like, arguably, it's kind of stupid because it's like it depends on 5 other people to do something, flawlessly, as opposed to myself, which the trophy is for. You know what I mean? The trophy is for me.
yeah.
So that was kind of annoying that that wasn't kind of like modified and directed towards me. So again, another multiplayer driven trophy that I technically achieved but couldn't get because that's a perfect example of like a glitch killed us, and it was like
Damn.
we did it. Like I said, he even died, bro. I wish I had it recorded, but he died and literally got up. That glitch never happened again so long, and I beat that raid probably 600 times.
Damn.
Yeah,
Rip.
so
Rip.
yeah, so
Oh,
shit
the
like that
rip.
drives me crazy. But the other thing, like, I got into it with someone back in, not got into it, we were having a conversation, but I was like, they're also really good because like I think um Viper mentioned it, but oh no, well, Deli mentioned it too. Basically he saw a trophy and was like, well, what the hell is that? And then it made him go explore something, and then he discovered something. Like that's what I'm talking about when trophies are designed well. Like they can encourage you to explore or go do something that you may not have otherwise
Mm,
come across. Like because that's what people were like, Like the one person was like, he really liked aimlessly wandering around, right? Like something like Elden Ring, right? Um, but we know the truth. A large portion of people who played Elden Ring uh, look stuff up, right? Because they seen other people do certain skills, have certain of the stances or whatever and all that stuff, and then they look it up. That's why they
Mm-hmm.
pop up 5 minutes later with the moon sword or this sword or that sword or this dodge skill or whatever. So
Yep.
I was like, I don't have time to aimlessly wander like throughout a world. Like I just don't. Like that's not cute to me. Like I need an objective. I need to go somewhere. I need to get shit done. Like I don't mind exploring the world in general as I'm like on my way somewhere and maybe I'll discover something. Like to me that's really good design, right? But like completely aimlessly wandering is the silliest thing in the world to me. I ain't nobody got time for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't care if you're even a kid. Like you don't have time for that. Like you got homework, you got school, you got friends, you got to go outside and play. You got other games to play. Like it's just that to me that doesn't respect your time. Um, which is why, like I said, I think a lot of people are full of it. That are like, oh man, I love how, this doesn't show you whatever, but it's like 90% of them looked up multiple YouTube videos while they played the
Mm-hmm.
games, so they're full of shit.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, but yeah, largely they're amazing.
I love how the game doesn't hold my hand and then proceed to look up missable side
Yeah,
quest, missable this, missable that. Yep. All the
yeah,
yep in the world.
yeah. So that's another thing people need to get straight. Like they really need to stop calling everything hand holding. Uh, like I keep seeing people. That's like the new word. That's like the new gamer word for toxic. Like people call like if I don't log in to this game and the screen ain't blank, it's holding my hand. Like, and it's like, all right, man,
Mm-hmm.
come on, like y'all bugging now. Um, but yeah, also, yes, Nintendo does need trophies, and if trophies really bother you that bad, do like the one person I know that can't stand them and just turn them off. You can literally turn them off. Like, why are you bugging
Mm-hmm.
me? Like, and realistically, like to the guy that said it, like the developer that was like, we could spend more time making the game better, bro. Like the lead animator is not like struggling. He's not gonna not make the game better because y'all made trophies. Like, there's plenty of people whose job do that work on these games, hundreds of people whose job it is not to make trophies. So like him saying it takes resources like it could cause the game to like the game could have been 10 times better, bro, if we just didn't put trophies in it. Like
Nah,
come on.
we just
Like
had
that's
it
cap.
from what's his name, Delhi. It takes 4 months.
Yeah, it's cap. Plus, not everybody's working on it, right? Like, as a
Mm-hmm.
level designer, I helped design some trophies, Like,
Yeah.
somebody asked me for my input here, and I'm like, hey, how do you reach this area? Because we have this trophy where you have to reach this area or play a certain play style. Like, how do you do that here? And I'm like, oh, well, we can adjust the enemy movement here, or we could say, like, well, this is probably the most optimal path in order to get this trophy. And, like, that's my input. I helped design a trophy, but, like,
Hmm.
that took me maybe
Who
2 hours.
decide?
2 hour. That was like a 2 hour conversation. It wasn't. It didn't like destroy my workflow.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, and that's what
Who
I'm
who
saying.
decide? Who decide what you put in trophy? What I mean by that, how to make it as easy or as egregious as possible.
It really depends. It's like Infamous 2 had a trophy where you climb a fence, and that was an inside joke because in the first game you couldn't climb a fence. So like that was an
I
inside
like
joke.
trophies like that.
Yeah,
Those are
I
fun.
like trophies like that, but there are also stupid trophies. Like in FIFA 10, there's a trophy where you have to, when you're losing a game on Xbox Live, you have to quit 5 times, and it's called Bad Loser. There's also a trophy in
Oh,
Dead or
there.
Alive 4 where you have to lose 20 games on Xbox Live in a row. 20 games.
What?
It just
Oh,
completely
damn.
destroys your win-loss. And it's a trophy. Like, I don't get it. I'm not entirely sure how those trophies make it in or how those trophies are decided. But I
Well,
mean, most of
Easter
the
egg
time,
trophies are fun. Like for example, the one
no,
with
I don't mind trophies
Uncharted
that are
4.
fun. But like when a trophy actually dictates how you play the game and changes how you play the game, I think those trophies are kind of bad.
Oh,
Especially if
interesting.
there are no rewards.
now
No
there,
rewards.
Oh,
there are
interesting. So you dislike a trophy, like for example, let's say kill 10 enemies with a handgun, or go through a level without killing an enemy.
Yeah, if there's no rewards to it, right? Like if there's no mechanical advantages to it, right? I'm not talking about like lethal, non-lethal stuff. Like I love Splinter Cell, I love stealth action games, right? So in Splinter Cell, if it's like, hey, go, don't kill anybody in the mission frontline. So you go through a frontline, you're like, oh wow, I'm unlocking a bunch of paths that I didn't know that I could take because I ran through it and shot everybody, right? But I'm talking about like kill 50 enemies with a handgun. It's like, okay, so what do I get for that? Do I get a skin? Do I get a new handgun? Do I get anything crazy, right?
I got you on that,
I
and I
I would
understand.
rather prefer something like Forbidden West, where it's like collect the Shadow Weaver armor, and then you're like, okay, I don't know what that is, so let's go find it, and then you go collect the 5 pieces, and then you get a reward. It's a trophy because you get something. Whether or not it's good or bad is irrelevant, right? You get it.
I don't mind the killing 50 people with the handgun trophy because once again, what if I really like the sniper rifle? If I really like an assault rifle, and I say screw the handgun, I'm never going to use it. But I see a trophy that says kill 50 people with the handgun, and you pick up the handgun. I'm like, oh, this is quite simple. Knock it out real quick.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
makes
I don't
you
mind
try
it. I
out
don't
new
mind it if it's
things.
not egregious, right? Like it's just like you said, like kill a couple people with this. It gets you to try out a couple different things to make sure you're exploring your options.
Mm.
Like I don't mind that, but then like you said, it could be bad, right? The same way like I said, I don't mind the collecting trophy stuff on Horizon, but I despise the collection trophy on like God of War. It drives me crazy. The freaking
Mm.
ravens are in the most ridiculous locations. It gets on my last nerve. Like I've done the quote unquote hard trophies, like killing the Valkyrie chick and all this other stuff. All the
Right?
stuff that's supposed to be hard, but then it's like it's the little stuff that's like just tedious,
Yeah.
that's annoying, you know. So yeah, like it can be good or bad. Like it's like I said, like Ghost of Tsushima was probably the best example. Um, Ghost of Tsushima in the original Horizon Zero Dawn, I basically platinum those games by playing them. Like
Me
that's
too.
how well it was designed, and I
Yeah,
love that.
and also especially with Ghost of Tsushima, they gave you that whatchamacallit, that wind. When you swipe it, it
Oh, the wind,
literally
yeah, the wind
takes
was
you
brilliant.
all the way where you need
The
to
wind is
go.
so good.
It
Yeah, I love that.
prevented
That whole game is just
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
it
fire.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my god.
it prevented you from being frustrated, not knowing where certain areas are, not knowing where the upgrade is, the whatchamacallit, the collectible that you need. It
And you
actually,
didn't even need all of them, which I also loved. You
yeah,
only needed like 50 or something out of like
yeah,
100 or something.
yeah, it actually prevented you from looking it up on YouTube.
Yeah, I
Like,
didn't
that's how
actually
you
need to look.
know that's
The
a
only thing I had to
fantastic
look up at
one.
that game was the I was missing a gate, one of the gates. And I had to double check where like people were because I couldn't find it on my map. And I had to double check where people because chances are if you missed it, other people missed it. That's usually what I find when I'm missing like that one thing.
Hmm.
And it was like this one I forget what the gate is called, the little red gates or whatever. I forget what the actual proper name is for them, but um it was like off to the side on the far left side of the map on the bottom, and like if you looked up like missing missing a gate or something in Ghost of Tsushima, like literally 98% of the responses, people were all missing the same gate.
Hmm. That's the thing though with I used to not want to look up things, but now as soon I feel I'm stuck, I look up things. Why? Because I don't know if the game's broken. I don't know if it's a glitch, a bug. I don't know if it's my own issue. So I would rather not spend 10 hours trying to do it the way game intended me to and wait my time because it's a glitch and a bug, then simply look it up on YouTube and look, oh yeah, okay, so this you need to be do this and need to be that. Way better.
Yeah.
By the way, I need to make sure that I am not blaming every single one of you. Did any single one of you mention missable trophies or missable collectibles? Going once, going
No,
twice,
I
going
just said
thrice.
collect I just said
I
collectibles
am
in general.
just
But
a
yeah.
Now, collectible is one thing. Missable collectibles is something totally different, and I'm disappointed in every single one of you because we all hate it. We
All
all
Look,
right, guys. I,
despise
I
it.
hate to take off, but I have to go do some stuff now, and then
Yeah, thank you for coming
bed up
through,
for the
man.
night. So thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate that. It's always very, very nice to be here. Nate, Omar, Weeb, Viper. It's always nice to be able to talk to you guys or interact with you guys on the internet, and of course here on the podcast.
No doubt.
I
Go
hope to
ahead,
do it
do your
again soon.
outro. Where people can find you.
You guys can best find me on twitter.com/agentdeli. That's probably the best way to reach me or interact with me, because it shoots the notifications right to my phone. But other than that, yeah, I did start making a YouTube videos, so you guys can find me at youtube.com/agentdeli. A bunch of people requested me to make YouTube videos, so I started doing that these last couple weeks. It's been nice to be able to see all the support and the love for that. So I really appreciate all that. And then other than that, yeah, those are the best places that you guys can find me.
Thank you for coming through.
Tommy.
Great conversation. See you next time.
Wait.
As for me, missable.
wait,
Oh, go ahead.
Missable trophies is the only reason why I research before I play a game. If it wasn't
Same.
for those,
Same.
I would never research. I would just
Yeah.
feel.
So where
I
was
think
that
that's why. I
energy
think
when
that's
I
why I
asked
don't.
you
I think that's why I
guys
don't hate them though.
which trophies
Because
do
I
you
always
hate?
check.
But the things of the game forces you to check them.
Yeah, I mean that's fair, but I don't know. It's such a habit for me now. Like I'm just always checking power side because immediately he's gonna tell me if there's something missable or not. I don't hate them though. Like the other ones that I mentioned, I hate. Multiplayer, and time trial are number one most hated.
Yeah,
Collectible
okay.
would be third, but it's not necessarily because you said missable collectibles. It's just missable. Period. It's annoying, but I think the one that more so annoys me is that like missable and you can't go back to it. So like you got to do something.
That's
in
the
a specific
missable I'm
order.
talking about, where you need to
Yeah,
start a
that.
new game.
Yeah, that's annoying.
There is that, and then there is also the impossible ones. I am looking at you, one of the worst trophy out there. If anyone here played Fist, beside me and Weeb, I think Viper played Fist. There is a trophy called where you need to do a single combo that's super long.
That you will never use. You will
And
never use.
that combo, it doesn't even start the way you're supposed to do it. It actually starts different. And if you don't figure that one out, you're not gonna get the trophy.
Really? I didn't find the plat for Fist that difficult though.
I literally said, except for you and me and Viper, because we played it. I said you played it.
Yeah. So the combos. There's a couple of combos that I had issues with. My whole ordeal is even if you put it on the hardest difficulty, the enemy will not last long enough for you to do that whole damn thing.
Ooh,
No,
that was
you
very
don't.
annoying.
Yeah, that's what I said. This combo is absolutely not needed because enemy have so much low health, and the ones that do have large health, which are the ninjas, they move around too quick for you to even implement combos like that. The only way to do this combo is against the dummy, and by that time you're like, what's the point? You're literally not doing any of that. All you need to do is 3 buttons. Square, triangle. And then you do that vacuum with your, with your fan, and that shred most of the enemies, including bosses. That saw blade move, if you guys remember. But going back to trophies, I truly believe missable ones are the worst. Because missable ones, you don't know if they are. Okay, there are two that are the worst. There are missable ones, and there is, what do you call that? What do you call that? With Returnal. What do you call that? RNG based ones. Cause the one I was doing with HackGU, I was having a blast. But in order to get the best thing and a trophy out of it, you need to get everything right. I actually dropped it when it comes to one trophy, cause I am going to do it in the second game where they actually give you a radar. Get this, I need to deliver flyers to around 50 people. And the issue arrives, one, the game doesn't have enough memory. So at one area there can only be 6 people that rotate. So I need to log in, log out, log in, log out.
Yeah,
Not
Omar, I actually had to make a running list of the names of people because I kept forgetting who I gave a flyer
Dude,
to.
I looked
Like,
it up on YouTube, on Google, and apparently you don't even need to do it as the first one. You can just do it as the second one and the third one. At least back then, they give you a radar. That helps a lot. You no
that's
longer wasted your hours trying to run wildly, thinking that you're gonna find some people where you don't. Or, even worse, when people are literally in dungeons where you have no idea where they are and they're in dungeons. You either find them or you don't. What did you want to say, Viper?
no, I'm ninjaing. Sorry.
But again, this comes from a person that truly loves the .hack franchise, but it's just not perfect. It have issues. The more you play it, the more you realize how much issues it have. And and do you know how you know you're a fan of something? When you can criticize it for its shortcoming in certain areas.
Yeah, the game was fun. You just be
The game was
over.
the game was great. Some of the best storytelling out there. When it comes to emotion, when it comes to mysteries. Till now, I don't know anything, and I'm on level. I've trapped what we call it, disc 2. By the way, I recommend you to play a game called Crosscode, cause that's kind of the same. Also, a mystery game. Uh,
Costco.
Crosscode, yeah. It got
I
a
have
DLC for $10 as well in it. When it comes to trophies, so there's visible, there is there is visible, and then there is the one that you need to do obscure things, like you need to have the star aligned to get a perfect triple headshot, for example, in one bullet. You get me?
I platinum that one already.
No, just a game. Which one? Oh, Crosscode?
Yeah,
Wow. It got a DLC.
I'm gonna go look. I have to look on the PlayStation just to make.
Um,
It's cross something. I can't remember if it's code or something else.
okay. I think we have come to the end of our conversation. Too bad Morgan couldn't join, nor Kay. But we made it work. Shout out to you, Weep. You came in clutch at the very end. Shout out to you, Nate, despite being out. Side still made it. So, appreciate it. Let's get to our outro. We already did Delhi. Let's start with Viper. Where people can find you, mister?
Yeah, it's Viper Reeks Corner on YouTube, at Reek Viper on Twitter, and I'm gonna go ahead and slither back to my corner.
Gotcha. I have a question for. Oh no, I think it was seen. Because I asked for something in DM, and either you didn't see it or you didn't what, but okay. What you call it? Weeb, where people can find you.
You can find me on Twitter as the Weep Sheriff at Infinite Rhizome and Other Nation.
He had to say it because Kay is not here nor Morgan is here. And Nate, where people can find you.
Yeah, just on Twitter at the real innate. Just keeping it gaming.
Gotcha. Before I do my outro, shout out to Morgan, Shield Bandit. She had a ladies' night with Persona Speak and the rest of their crew. Give that a listen. Shout out to King Trash for doing his thing, hosting that Game of the Year award. I'm gonna go back listen to it. And shout out to Persona and J Body for having the voice actor, for having the actress for God of War Ragnarok, Freya, on their show at What's Up PlayStation, like that big. Shout out to them for that one. And with that being said, people can find me at Carab_Jab on Twitter and GamePlayer, Vitamin G podcast every Monday 5 p.m. at the same time. Shout out to everyone that came through. Again, this was a fantastic show. And yeah, see you next week. Oh yeah, and shout out to Kay at Kay something on Twitter.